Hello there, Comic Clan, and welcome to issue 11 of the Comics and the Cross podcast. I, of course, am always your co-host, Cross, sitting here alongside my colleague, my brother-in-arms, my partner in crime, my whatever else you want to call him, Nitro, sitting right next to me. Nitro, say hi to the lovely people.
What's up, everybody?
Okay.
Hope everybody's having a great day.
Alright, first of all, confession time. I literally had the stream starting soon thing up there, and I was playing an amazing song from Pillar, State of Emergency, phenomenal Christian rock song, over the top of it, get everyone hyped for the podcast. I totally had desktop audio muted the entire time, so nobody that was started tuning in heard a thing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So,
hey man, that was just for you.
That was it hyped me up. I got hyped for the podcast. Hey, and look at the bright side, I'm not going to get like a copyright strike when this gets uploaded to YouTube for music in front of it.
Go.
So
there you go.
That's always a positive to get, because they end up trimming that out.
Look at the bright side, man.
I know, that's it. Look at the bright side of it. There's always a silver lining. As you can see, if you're joining us, I have decided to fiddle about with our setup to try and change the colour scheme a little bit.
Looks fantastic, man.
Because black and grey was looking a little bit... it was looking a little bit boring and dingy, and I decided, you know what? Everything else, like if you look below us at Twitch, like all our stuff has got this blue tint to it that, you know, that Nitro has done. He's done an amazing job with it. I thought let's do some blue and white. Let's do some blue and white, and because I done the blue and I'm like, why does that not work? And I'm like, oh, that's because all the writing for like all our social media stuff that's below us and is red, and the Gamer Grind logo that's above us is black, and it
was a wee bit dystopian before.
And it's not working with it, so I went with a bit brighter, and it's like, thankfully Gamer Grind have got like a white logo that looks really good on it, so I changed all the writing on like our social media stuff to white, and it looks beautiful. It actually looks, you know, not crap, pretty much. It looks so much better. But thank you everyone who is, of course, coming to join us again, as for some reason you always do. You come and join us and listen to us ramble about comic book topics, and we are forever grateful and appreciative that anyone actually turns up to listen to us. We love you guys. Thank you, Comic Clan. You are so appreciated for every one of our shows that you've supported, that you've shared, that you've liked. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, so first of all, housekeeping, as always. Up above in their new white logo that we've got here, you will see Gamer Grind Co., the #1 coffee for gamers. Hashtag on that grind. Go
you
and
pointed right at it.
I know. I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better at it. Yeah. Do you know what's the thing that always throws me with it is because like the camera switches, so I go to, because like if I'm looking at my own screen with us, like you're to the right of me, but if I point to the right, it's that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a reverse.
So like I always have to like think before I did it. So the fact I pointed at that is actually quite impressive. I'm impressed myself.
You pointed right at it. I mean, you get mad points.
I mean, that's it, man. I'm getting better at this. You know, it's like I'm actually looking like I know what I'm doing now, which is impressive in itself. You know.
Oh yeah.
But check it out in the chat. I just dropped it in there for our sponsor for Gamer Grind. Click on that link. Go ahead and check out some of their amazing coffee. Their coffee is absolutely phenomenal. Like honestly, it's my favorite coffee now. I can't drink anything else. Like the only reason I drink any other coffee is if I literally run out of Gamer Grind, which unfortunately, sadly, I am this morning. I'm not drinking Gamer Grind, so my day's not as quite as exciting as it could be because I ran out. Like my next shipment, I always seem to run out like that day before the next shipment comes in. Like I'm due my next bag, so. But go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and click on that link. You're going to help us out a little bit and support the channel if you do that, as well as using Comics and the Cross in your checkout. If you use that as a code in the checkout, you will save yourself 5% on any order, and also throw a little bit of something to the channel to help keep us going as well. Also as well, pick up the Comics and the Cross mug, Comics and the Cross sticker while you're there as well, because why wouldn't you? And massive shout out to Bob Thracer, who was the first person to sub to our channel when we became affiliates. Awesome guy. He's also sponsored by Gamer Grind. He finally got the mug. Like we ordered that mug for him like forever ago, and it finally made it to him. And he's actually not using it. He's actually got it sitting in his set now. I saw a video on his Twitter page, so he's got it sitting on his set. So massive shout out to Bob Thracer.
Yeah,
go give him some love as well. Awesome guy. He's been so supportive for the channel. So massive shout out to him. Also as well, if you want to rep the Comic Clan, which that needs to be a new shirt as well. It has to have like Comic Clan on it and have to have some sort of tartan or something. That has to be something that you that you do for one of our new shirts, Nitro. That has to be like one of the designs is actual Comic Clan.
Let's jot that down.
So yeah, I'm going to put merchandise in the chat as well. So go and check out our Teespring store where you can pick up your own Comics in the Cross t-shirt, hoodie, yoga pants. I never know what to call them. I always forget. Like, I know the words leggings, but like as soon as I go to mention it, I always forget the leggings. But like leggings, yoga pants, whatever they are, as well as our first official poster from our superhero Square Go that we did a few episodes ago. If you're watching on YouTube and I'm really smart and putting in the links I'm meant to be doing, it should be popping up in a box in the corner where you can click on that and check that out, because I'm getting that good at YouTube apparently that I can put stuff like that in videos.
Let me step back and just admire the
I'm
prowess.
telling you, man, it's like I'm starting to get into this. Like, oh, that's a good idea. I could do that. I'm like, oh, there's an option for that. Fantastic. But thank you so much for everyone that has shown us support, going and checking that stuff. So I have to say, this has been quite a big week for like people giving us shout outs, by the way. So I have to mention this.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to put his link in here. I don't have it set up. I should have set this up. I'm not that good, apparently. Go and check out this guy. I hope I've spelt that correctly. Go and check out twitch.tv Behaving Beardly. If you were here last week for our podcast, we actually raided him after the podcast and stuff like that, and went over and showed him some love. Awesome guy. Plays a lot of Sea of Thieves. Looks like a Viking.
Yeah.
You know, literally, he wears the horned helmet. He's got a beard like down to his waist. You know, it's like he's literally full blown.
And it's funny because he has a green screen, but he also wears he has green screen around him.
So he wears like green clothing.
Head.
Yeah, what was it the other day? Like his chair didn't have green on it, and he was wearing a different colour shirt. Literally, the other day I was on stream watching him, and it was so weird.
Yeah.
Because he never does
he's
that.
Just a floating head.
It's usually a floating head, so to not see him like that was weird. But massive shout out to him. I jumped into his stream on Tuesday just watching him and started chatting, and we got in a conversation. He's like, I recognise your name, and I said, oh yeah, well we jumped in and raided you on Sunday. That's probably where you recognise us from. The dude literally pulled up our stream, played a little bit of the audio of me talking, because the conversation started like they were talking about, because he's English. So the conversation started about like people like swearing in stream. And it started out in that sort of way of talking about swearing in stream. And they started talking about Glaswegians. For those of you who don't know, I am Scottish, in case you haven't told from my accent. And I'm actually from just outside of Glasgow, so I've got my mom's side of the family is literally from Glasgow. I grew up just outside of Glasgow, so that's my home turf. So when he started saying that, I said, hey, it's like I'm a Glaswegian streamer, and it's like I don't cuss in stream and stuff like that. I'm a PG streamer. I try to be. Stuff slips out and I apologise, but I tried to say PG. And he didn't believe me, so he pulls it up in stream, and he actually started playing a little bit of our audio while we were seeing Nitro's artwork on Spider-Man. So we got to see a lot of that kind of taking place, and then he also read our About Us section out. He put on his mic effect and done like a big booming deep voice, and he said it himself. He said, I was doing it for a meme, and he says, but I really love that statement and what you guys are doing, so like go and follow. He actually follows us. A bunch of people came over from his chat. We got a bunch of people following us from that, so massive thank you to Behaving Beardly. Go and show the guy some love. He's an amazing streamer. He's so much fun to watch. He's well worth checking out, so massive shout out to him. You may have seen me shouting him out in our social media as well. Just the guy's a legend. And then also to another streamer who I don't know quite as well, but he actually reached out to us. His name is Spock, S-P-O-C, not to be confused with Spock from Star Trek, which is spelt the same way except with a K at the end, who invited us to his stream team, which I don't have Twitch actually pulled up, so if you guys can let me know if it actually says we're like Twitch team Spock Nation. Now he actually pulled us into that, and that's an opportunity to grow, to be represented by someone. Only Twitch partners can create teams, so anyone that's a Twitch partner inviting us into something like that, the massive shout out to him asking us to do that and giving us that opportunity. Is it showing up? Awesome.
Yeah, it's like right under the video.
So like when that shows up in someone, you can click on that and you can view all the people that are in their team. So not only is that showing up for us, but anyone else that's part of Spock Nation. If someone clicks on that and looks through it, like right now as we're live, it shows all the channels, but the live ones all jump to the top. So right now we're somewhere in that list. It looks like he tries to partner with a lot of people, especially a lot of smaller channels and stuff like that. So him giving us a shout out like that, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Spock, for that opportunity to be part of Spock Nation, and just to get a shout out like that is greatly appreciated. It really is. Alright, I think that's it. I think I'm done with housekeeping for this week, but I just wanted to give some massive shout outs to that because there's been a lot happening this week. It feels like a lot has happened since we were last on here.
Yeah, that behaving weirdly thing. When you sent me a message, I'm like, what? And I jumped right on, and it was crazy, man.
Yeah, he gives a massive shout out like that, and I'm like, dude, you did not have to do that. Like, you've got a fairly good following, you've got a great community there, and you did not have to do that and give a shout out to Comics on the Cross, but we appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's jump into some topics of conversations. There's two major ones I want to talk about. So the first one is comics related. The other one is kind of related to comics and superheroes, but it's more about the creator of it. You may have seen it. I posted it on social media. He's actually going to be a guest on the show in a couple of weeks. Joshua Leonard. It's relating to him. I want to mention it because he is coming on the show and what's going on. But I'm going to start with the comics news first. Okay, DC's been making like big headlines the last couple of weeks with us. Like we've been noticing stuff like the Zack Snyder cut and all this stuff for the DCEU. Out of nowhere this week, DC announces that they are no longer going to be using Diamond Distribution to distribute their comics. Go back and look at our digital versus physical podcast. I think it was like episode 2. It was like one of the first podcasts we did. First one where we got like pretty much both cameras working as well and both mics working. So go and check it out. And we talked extensively about this, talking about how COVID was affecting everything, and we talk a lot about the Diamond Distribution model in that, and the fact of like the Diamond Distribution is basically the only source of like distributing comics, like especially for Marvel and DC, the big two. They've used Diamond for forever, and the system isn't amazing.
Which it blows my mind that two different, not necessarily rival comic companies would use the same distributor. Like, I don't know if that's normal or not. It's just weird.
It's one of those. Weird. It's one of those. It's always been. So yeah, and then out of nowhere we got this, and this is popping up. This is the Hollywood Reporter. So I'm going to put the article in the chat, so you guys can click on it, read it for yourselves. Because I tried to find it out with of just clicking on the link, and it was kind of hard. But it's actually on the Hollywood Reporter, so like it's a fairly big like reporter to be like mentioning this comic company thing. The publisher will no longer distribute through the industry leader in comics distribution. In a seismic shift for the comic book industry, DC has cut ties with Diamond comic distributors. The announcement was made via an email to retailers sent Friday morning, with the company telling customers that all orders for DC products will be fulfilled by Lunar Distribution and UCS comic distributors for periodical releases, and from Penguin Random House for graphic novels and collected editions. I have never heard of any of these companies. I have never heard of Lunar. I have never heard of UCS. I have never heard of Penguin Random House. I have never heard of these.
I've heard of Penguin Random House. I haven't heard of the other two.
I've never heard of any of these companies. So it's like to come out of the blue and drop their like distributor, who's been their distributor for freaking decades, since like. I mean, like, DC Comics just celebrated, like, 80th anniversary of some of their characters recently. Like, they've been distributing them since, like, pretty much since the beginning, practically.
Same perspective, it says, DC parting ways with Diamond means that the latter, Diamond Distributors, loses the second biggest publisher in North America market, responsible for roughly 30% of the entire market in 2019.
Yeah. Like, I'll always talk about indie comics and the fact that indie comics are making a massive move right now. There's some amazing indie comics out there. We're actually going to be doing some indie shows looking specifically at indie comics. Probably starting next month at some point we'll start doing that. We're going to be doing indie introduction. But make no mistake about it, like, no indie company out there, like Image is the biggest indie company out there. No indie company out there can touch Marvel and DC. They are on top of it. Marvel is number 1, DC is number 2, and it's been that way for a while. Occasionally they swap places, but for a long time it has been that point. So for Diamond to lose the second biggest comic distribution and lose the funding that comes with that is a massive announcement, but it also means that we could be seeing some massive changes taking place in the comic distribution market. Like, no more of this comics like getting, ordered months in advance.
Yeah.
And if they don't get enough pre-orders, then they don't do anything,
Yeah, I mean, I always think that competition is healthy, right? Because it always brings out the best in anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think this is, even though it sucks for Diamond, obviously coming back from 2 months of being shut down, basically. But I think, to your point, I think something good might come out of this. I don't know what. I don't even know what this looks like or what it means, but it's
That's the
definitely
thing.
great.
It's like it's never happened.
Yeah.
There's not a comparison to make to anywhere else. So I'm like, what does it look like? Like seriously, what does it freaking look like to have Diamond no longer distributing one of the big companies? Because we talked about it. We talked about it in digital versus physical. Like this, the coronavirus quarantine shut down Diamond distribution, shut down most of the comic books that were coming out. And we talked about it like, is this going to be the end of the physical market? And we talked about, is it going to be more of a digital thing? Is Diamond going to basically be done now? And never could I have predicted this, that yeah, it's like Diamond's going to have a massive effect, but it's not going to be a digital thing. It's going to be like the comic book industry changing and going to different publishers and distributors, and never in a million years did I imagine that was going to be it.
Well, you got to think about what Marvel's thinking right now. They're probably like, "Well, crap! Can we do that? I didn't know you could do that.
But that's the thing,
What are we gonna do now?"
but like, is that going to change things for Marvel as well? Because like,
Yeah,
Diamond, are they going to start kicking a new game into gear? Because they don't want to lose Marvel. If they lose
that's what I'm
Marvel,
saying.
they're done. That's like,
Yeah,
you've lost the two biggest companies then. So like, are they going
yep.
to start changing how they do business with Marvel as well? Is Marvel going to
That's what I'm
start changing
thinking.
how they do business? It's like,
I think this can only lead to a better model.
yeah.
Whatever that means, I don't know what that looks like, but I think competition breeds just ingenuity. So
Oh yeah, it's like, I fully believe like competition is a good thing in any industry. Like look at any company that's had no like rival, has had no company going up against it. It's like they stop trying, they stop pushing, they stop advancing
yeah,
things because they're the only thing.
yeah, yep,
Um, so like I'm going to be keeping eyes on this. Like we'll probably be talking about this more in the weeks to come. There's nothing massive to I think really talk about at this point. Like as much as we're kind of discussing it, knowing the new distributors are there, it's like it talks about that the COVID-19 was a big part of it, and it's like, but at the same time, it's like we need to wait and see. We need to wait and see how this is affected by things. We need to wait and see how this is, like what does it look like when these are now distributing to comic book stores? Like, and at the point when I kind of want to get Philip from Richmond Comics back in to talk to him about this and kind of like, okay, what do you think about this and how do you think this is going to play out? And like, even when we start getting books through it, like in July and August, when we're starting getting monthly books through these companies, like to bring them on and go, like, how has it changed? Has it changed anything? And get that input again,
yeah. What does it mean?
because like that's a massive thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's nuts.
But as I said, we'll probably be talking about that a lot more. We'll probably be talking about that in more in the weeks to come, in the months to come, as we get more information on it. Just right now, there isn't much information.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, when I saw the headline, I was like, "Holy word! I need to make sure Paul knows about this because we just talked about this."
yeah, like it came out the blue, and I'm like, there was no hint that this was coming.
No.
So our second thing that I want to talk about news-wise, it was more of a personal stake in it because we've got Joshua Leonard coming on the show in a couple of weeks. If you guys don't know, we have been talking about it. I'm putting in the chat his link to his webpage. Joshua Leonard is a black creator from here in the States, who created a superhero team called Team Supreme. He created a team of superheroes with special abilities, special powers, but also like they had different disabilities. Like one of the kids is autistic, one of the kids is blind, one has sickle cell disease, one is like spina bifida and is in a wheelchair, and one is deaf, one is there's a bunch of different stuff going on here. Like the dad figure and the leader of them, the adult, it deals with depression. Like it was a massive thing to pull this forward. And Joshua Leonard's been doing this for years. Like he's been trying to pitch this show. He does all the artwork himself and stuff like that. He's the creator of it.
Since like 2009, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing this for
Yeah.
years, and he's been pushing this for years, and he's been pitching. He's had tons of high level interviews. He said, been pitching to massive studios and stuff like that. And then out of the blue, let me see if I can pull it up.
Posting links to his social media in our in the chat. So just FYI.
Yeah, I see that. I'm trying to pull up the specifics of the actual thing, which I'm trying to click on the thing itself. It's actually not letting me pull it up like the original thing. I don't know if he got rid of it. But you can see it on like our original post at least. So let me put that in chat. So if you want to go and check it out, go and check this out. It's a link to our Twitter where we shared it. I don't see it. Like I'm clicking on it for his page, and it's like I don't know if it's been deleted or whatever, but it's still showing up in ours.
Not for me, but it's just he just has a small blip and then a piece on all the main characters.
Yeah. So the post that he put up on June 5th, 2 days ago. This was posted. It says, when they won't hire you, but they'll steal your show. I knew I had that fire when I was creating it. I've been the advocate for disabilities, diversity, inclusion, and equality since 2009. All good though. And this is in relation to PBS. PBS just launched a brand new show. It's literally just dropped in PBS Kids. I don't know if you guys are familiar with PBS Kids and the stuff that they put out there. I've got 2 young kids who are obsessed with it, so we watch a lot of stuff like Curious George, Daniel Tiger, different stuff like that. That they do. Sesame Street's on there. You know, there's tons of stuff on there. They're all learning and educational programming. It all comes out of the Fred Rogers Company, all that sort of stuff. PBS show features superhero with autism. The PBS Kids animated series Hero Elementary, which just dropped recently, it literally dropped like a week or 2 ago, is set inside a grade school where a diverse group of 4 superhero students are learning to master their special powers. There's a kid who can fly, is afraid of heights, there's a girl with the power to teleport, and a boy who creates force fields of bubbles. Plus there's a boy with an array of cool gadgets who is on the autism spectrum. The creators have been subtle about how they've portrayed the character of AJ Gadgets, who is on the high functioning end of the spectrum. AJ doesn't like loud noises or wet clothes, or to be apart from his beloved backpack, but he's part of the team and it always comes to the rescue. Sounds like a cool show. Sounds like a great premise. Sounds like let's get more. Like I've said it on the stream many times. I'm the father of an autistic boy. I love getting more autism awareness out there. I'm all for autism awareness. I'm all for people learning more about autism. The problem is this isn't their idea. The problem is that he pitched this to many, many companies, including PBS and PBS Kids. He pitched it to PBS Kids, and they did not hire him. They did not take the idea. And then out of nowhere, they have a show based around young superheroes, and there's like, one has a fear of heights and stuff, but the main thing is that one of them has autism.
Yeah. Which
I'd like to point out just happens to be the black kid, who, if you look at Joshua Leonard's stuff, the leader of Team Supreme, at least to the kids, is Zeke, a young black boy with autism. I don't even feel like you're covering it up. This is a man who's been working on this project, who's been passionately talking about it. Like, he's had high-profile interviews. It's not like it's a secret that he's doing this. It's not like he's a nobody. Like, some of the interviews he's done are so high out there, like, in big time. Like, people have interviewed him regarding this. There's videos out there of him talking about it, like, on his YouTube page. There's, like, videos out there of him talking about it and talking about, like, Team Supreme and how great this is, and, all these different kids with disabilities. He's all about inclusion and diversity. Which I also feel like with everything that's going on in the country right now, with all the stuff that's going on in the country right now, this is a massive blow to PBS. Like, you're digging yourself in a hole.
Yeah.
Because basically what it looks like at this point is that you basically listened to the idea from a black creator and stole it. And then claimed it's about inclusion and diversity, which he's been at the forefront for years.
That's awful.
And it's like, really? And obviously I want to read more into this stuff, and, like, obviously, like, as far as I'm aware, this is only a couple of days ago we posted this. As far as I'm aware, PBS hasn't responded, hasn't made a comment back. Although eventually they will, because there's a lot of people that are pushing this out there, and especially with the Black Lives Matter movement taking place right now, and people trying to make sure that black creators are getting the appreciation and the recognition that they deserve, that they don't always get.
Well, like, he threw out I've been following him on social media for like the past day or so, just in prep for when we talk to him, because I just want to learn as much about him as I can and about Team Supreme. And he posted something like less than 5% of animators are black. I did not know that.
No,
I had no clue.
I was unaware
And
that it was that low a number. It's crazy.
well, and he was just talking about how it obviously shows in in what's being created. There's not a whole lot of diversity and inclusion in what's actually being created, and that's I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think that's one of the reasons that he created what he's creating now.
Yeah.
So it's just doubly frustrating that somebody would take that and run with it and change his initial idea.
Well,
It's just frustrating.
even the inclusion for Team Supreme, like it's very much about like kids with disabilities being superheroes, is really at the forefront of it. But if you look at the cast of characters, there's pretty much an even spread of boys and girls.
Yeah, agreed.
He's got the gender equality there. We've got black, we've got white, we've got Hispanic, we've got Asian. He's trying to include different races across the board.
Hmm.
He's trying to make sure that the show is about inclusion, it's about inclusiveness. And I'm like, I can't get inside PBS's head for it. I'm like, why didn't you just hire this guy? Like, seriously, why didn't you just hire him and do this show? Or hire him to do a variant of the show if that's what you wanted to do. If there was bits of it you didn't like, work with him.
And Joshua, if you're listening, I will say your art is 100 times better than theirs. So
Oh,
just
yeah.
FYI.
Yeah.
No, there's not even a question.
Mm.
Because I'm looking at it right now. Might be a fine show, but your art is on point.
Their show is very, I don't want to say very kiddie, like that's a bad thing, because it's obviously meant for like for like preschool sort of age and early grade school and stuff. It's like, but like the artwork is like compared to, there's literally, if you go to Joshua Leonard's like social media, you will see him doing art on some of the posts. Some of the posts he does, especially on his Instagram, is him doing
Yes.
the artwork, and it's like it's
Yes.
gorgeous. The
I
artwork
love the
and
work in
design
progress
is beautiful.
stuff, where he's showing it from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, it's like
I was actually showing my wife, because I show her art on Instagram a lot, and I was showing her some of the stuff, and she was blown away.
yeah, like the guy's an amazing artist. Like I want to see this show. I want to see Team Supreme made.
Yeah.
I really do. And like I've known about Joshua Leonard for a couple of years now, and it's like, and it right after my son got his diagnosis, and it caught my attention. I'm a superhero guy. I love superheroes. So to see an inclusion like that taking place is something that's really close to my heart. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm boycotting the other show. I'm 100% boycotting it. I'm like, it's ridiculous. See, unless it comes out that they've got a good reason or anything like that, or there's a good response to it, fair enough. I'm willing to hear what PBS has to say on it, because like I want to hear their side of it. I want to hear what you've got to say on this. But I'm like, it just looks like you stole the idea.
It looks like they stole it.
It looks like you stole the idea, and I'm like, and you didn't even do a good job of it. At least steal the good bits as well if you're going to steal it. You know what I mean? If you're going to steal his idea, at least go all out for it. But I'm like, but I'm really excited to have Joshua Leonard on the show in a couple of weeks. On the 21st, we are going to be talking with him. He's going to be on here. We're going to be asking him about Team Supreme. Going to be asking him about his process as an artist. Asking him how he got into it. Why did he get into it? And also we're going to ask him about this. Like, how is he honestly feeling about what's taking place with PBS, and you know, like how does he feel that his creation has basically been taken and transformed, and it's sad.
I think I will say is like his response to it. He's had a really great positive attitude about it, and I know it's a sucky situation, but it's really cool seeing the way he's responding to it. Obviously, he's calling it out for what it is, but just seeing him responding to it.
Oh yeah, cool. Absolutely. He's been a real gentleman about it. Like, he posted about it and he made people aware. But he's well within his rights to go off on a tirade and to rip into them for it. He's well in his rights to rip into them, like, you've stole my freaking idea. I want credit for it. And it's like, he's handling it so calmly, so down to earth, and like, kudos to him for handling it in that way, because honestly he doesn't need to handle it that way. He could have went off the handle, but like he's coming out of it looking really good and looking like it's taking place well, and I'm like, good for you, honestly, good for you. So it's like, you deserve it. So yeah, we'll talk more about that in a couple of weeks when we actually have him on the show. But I wanted to mention that because, like, when I seen that posted, I'm like, it infuriated me. It really did, and I'm like, really? You can't even give the guy the credit for it and hire him? Like, seriously? But anyway, so housekeeping done, news for the week taken care of. Let's delve into our actual topic for today. We, of course, are going to be looking back at the Marvel Netflix shows, the RIP, the Marvel Netflix shows which no longer exist, which are no longer a thing. They ended when season 3 of Jessica Jones finished up. They've all been cancelled. They've all not been renewed. But one of the other things that was kind of like lined up with this, it wasn't necessarily the reason we were going to talk about it, but it lines up kind of nice because all the news sites have been talking about it. Is that Daredevil is about 6 months away from being reclaimed by Marvel Studios.
Oh shoot!
And I know what you're thinking. Didn't that happen already when they got him back from Fox? Like, yes, it did. But they got Daredevil back and they entered into an agreement with Netflix, and there was a certain length of time after Daredevil was cancelled, they had to wait before they could do anything with the characters. But that time frame runs out in, I think it's late October, early November, I think, something like that. So like end of the year, literally, it runs out. And I thought it's an interesting thing to look back at the Netflix shows and look back at how they played out. And Daredevil's the first, but what happens when the rest of the shows all go that way? Will we see Daredevil and Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Punisher all coming into the MCU?
I just want to see Daredevil and Spider-Man. I mean, is that too much to ask for?
I know.
I just want to see them together.
That's all we've been asking.
Downtown New York. That's what I want to see.
We've only been asking for it since, like, what, 2002, 2003, like, when Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and, like, that awful Ben Affleck Daredevil movie came out.
Oh,
like,
my gosh.
Like, that's all I wanted to see. Like, yeah, these two team up frequently. Like, I'd like to see them together.
Yeah, because they're both kind of wisecracking in the comics, and, you know, I just think it'd be awesome.
I think it'd be really fun, but...
Yeah.
But let's delve into it.
Sure.
So let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
The man we're talking about himself, Daredevil, Matt Murdock, played by the legendary Charlie Cox, who done a phenomenal job playing him.
Fantastic. Such good casting.
If Daredevil hadn't hit as hard as it had, I don't think we'd have gotten the rest of the shows.
I just think it hit, like, the first episode was, like, super powerful. And then it kind of just, it stayed at that level, I think, through the whole series.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm like, it stayed at that amazing level, and it's like, I think that's it with Daredevil. Like, they knew what they were doing with it. It was a slow burn build. Like, if any of you catch the video from a couple of nights ago, I done a just chatting thing where I was chatting with anyone that came into, our chat, and we're watching episode 1 of season 1, and it was so weird going back to the beginning, because it makes you realise the journey these characters have came on, like, but the slow burn for it as well. Like, we get a little bit of Matt Murdock's backstory, but like, if you don't know his backstory, if you're not really sure of how he got to where he is, then it only gives you a little bit of it. That builds up through the season. We obviously don't see the Daredevil costume until the end. The whole first season is him in the Frank Miller inspired, like, black attire with the bandana completely over his eyes.
Honestly, I didn't hate. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
It's a really cool attire. It's really cool.
I normally hate when, like, they're making these TV shows, they're making these movies, and they're just, for some reason, there's just an opposition to showing a somewhat accurate portrayal of a comic book costume. There's always, like, this fierce opposition to it. But obviously this is inspired by Frank Miller, but I think the way that they did it, I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it was done really well, and I think they really built up the slow burn to it, and to get the actual Daredevil costume, which I was grateful for, and that we finally got there. And it's a beautiful costume. I am a fan of it. If you can see in the background, my statues, I do have a statue of, like, Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Like, I love that attire so much. Even the slow burn to Kingpin, obviously the main villain for seasons 1 and 3, and was still a part of season 2 as well. Literally, I forgot, like, the whole first episode, you don't see him. You don't see him in the entire first episode. You only hear his voice right at the end when he's talking to his associate Wesley, the guy who he sends out. And I'm like, I forgot that guy existed. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's right, you got killed. I forgot you were a thing.
that entire, like, relationship with him and Wesley, oh man, it's so good. And Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, I will never not see the Kingpin as him. If they don't rehire him for the movie version of Kingpin, if he does eventually, hopefully, come out.
I've said it to you. I need to see Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin facing off with Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Ooh.
I need to see that.
So good. That would be so
I
good.
need to see that
Just the
rivalry.
size difference. Just the size difference would be
Yeah,
fantastic to see.
like I need to see that because I love. Okay, let me take a minute to talk about Kingpin here because like for me, I don't think Daredevil would have been a bigger hit without him. Charlie Cox is amazing. The casting is amazing. Like even for Karen, for Foggy, for
Yep.
it's phenomenal casting for Ben Urich. Who is a shame he dies in season one, but like Ben Urich. Which spoilers for these, by the way. But like if you've not watched them, they've been all on Netflix for years at this point. So if
Tough.
you've not watched it, you're probably not going to have watched it. So
Yeah.
if you don't want any spoilers for it, go check it out. Come back, watch this later on replay or YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, like but Ben Urich even, but Fisk just. Vincent D'Onofrio was a perfect cast, and he's such an underrated actor until Kingpin happened, and then
Yeah.
he plays the character so calm, so
Yeah.
chill, so relaxed. He never raises his voice. He never gets angry. And then it's that first scene when he loses his temper, and it's a scene where he smashes that guy's head in the door, and he does it repeatedly.
Yeah.
And you see that side of Kingpin of like, yes, he's calm, yes, he's collected, yes, he's a businessman, but he is ruthless.
Well, like, and I love the way that they explore his backstory about his dad. About again, spoilers. You know about how he killed his dad with like a hammer,
Mm.
right? Yeah. So like he's really messed up, like in the head. He's got a lot of psychological things going on in his brain, but he focuses so much on his outward appearance, the way he dresses, what type of place he stays in, his clothing, his cufflinks, making sure he's spot on. That when he gets unhinged, it's like truly a shock, and you're like, holy cow! All right.
Oh,
So he is
absolutely.
capable of that. Yeah,
Absolutely. Like, the guy is. You know what? I love how they handled the backstory. I love absolutely how they handled Kingpin's backstory just because we've never really seen his backstory in the comics. Like, they never really explored it. They've never really explored it in the comics. They've never really explored anything like that. The only real like exploration we got of it was in the Spider-Man the animated series, like the 1990s Spider-Man animated series, the one like we grew up on and stuff. That was how we. That was where we got like a real look at his backstory, his rough upbringing, the fact that he was pretty much abused, the fact that he was this big kid, but like he, not just like oh he's big and he's fat, but like no, like he's scary strong. He's scary fast for the size he is. Like that's
yep.
just his body shape. He is in
He's
such
scary.
peak physical condition,
He's
and it's not a superpower. It's not an
no.
ability. It's not something special that's happened. It's just him.
When he, even the part where he's getting his clothes tailored by the guy, he's called the Gladiator in the comics. I forgot his name offhand. But he's the
Mm.
guy who makes his clothing, and it's lined with this really thin, like bulletproof material, knife-proof material. It's just
Yeah,
like the little details in that show are just they're so good, and I think they like. I think they did a really good job of paying homage to the comics, but kind of also doing their own thing.
absolutely, absolutely, and just the journey that we go on with Kingpin.
Yeah,
I it's weird to say, but I love the story of him and Vanessa.
yeah, I love it. Yes.
That love story is so well played out because like at first you're like he's trying to be this sweet guy and he's trying to woo her over and you think oh well he's going to fall in love with her and then she's going to run away and not want to be with him,
Yeah.
and then it was like no, she's actually fully in on this.
Yeah.
She loves him in every part of it, and
Yeah.
that becomes such a driving force for him. And obviously he gets her out the country when he finally goes to jail and stuff like that. And I love even as we see the character evolve in the later seasons, like we get to see him during season 2 in prison, like literally owning the prison.
Yeah.
He literally runs the whole thing, like he has to be in there, but it's like it's his house.
One of the things that I really appreciated about Daredevil is like I'm the type of person who's drawn more towards the aesthetic of a film or a TV show than maybe sometimes the content, which is not necessarily a good thing. But I really really liked the style of the show, and I feel like it was distinct from the other Marvel Netflix shows. because it was almost always set at night. Um, but like I'm even thinking about one specific scene that they would play over and over and over and over, and it's Wilson Fisk making eggs, and just
Mm.
the way that he made eggs, and just the music in the background, and how it set the tone for his character. Um, Man, I don't know. I don't. It really spoke to me. That sounds really corny, but I really liked it. I really liked the way that they took the direction of the
Oh no,
of
they
just
did.
the aesthetic of the show.
Yeah, they did an amazing job with that. Like, in just how they portrayed it. Like, even his morning routine.
Yeah,
Like, I love the fact of
exactly.
seeing him doing his breakfast, doing stuff like that, and then just seeing him walk into his walk-in closet and
Yep.
how methodical he is about like what suit he wears and what watch he pairs with it and what pair of shoes he puts with it. Everything about him is so methodical. It's so well
Hmm.
played. It's so well placed, and I'm like,
And like that's character building without saying, "Hey, he is like this." No, we know he's super methodical. He thinks
yeah,
everything out. He's like 5 steps ahead of everything. Like he knows exactly what's going to happen. And they said that without actually saying it.
yeah. Like, they so well set it up. Like, even like watching that first episode back, like he gathers together all the gang leaders and stuff, all the crime bosses and stuff, and starts putting it into play that he's basically taken over.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, and they show him like he's already bought out certain people, and like people that owed them money. He's like, no, we don't want the money back. You owe us this though.
Yeah.
We need this for you. And just how they portrayed it and how they portrayed him. And then even like going into season 3, where you see like he's so well played, like he's in that penthouse being held there until he like goes, to court and stuff like that,
He's basically owning the cops.
where he basically owns the cops. He runs the whole
Yeah,
place. That is basically now his penthouse suite that he lives in.
pretty much. Yeah.
It's so sweet, and just to see that evolution of the character, like all the way down, and then at the end when he just unleashes everything. We kind of talked about it before we started. That
Yeah.
fight scene between Daredevil and Kingpin in that apartment at the very end, when it's like they literally finally, after 3 seasons, do not hold back on each other.
Well, like I found myself when they were fighting, I found myself like I was legitimately like gritting my teeth. And then when Charlie Cox just beats the brakes off of him so much so, and Vanessa's telling him to stop, and he grabs the side of his face and he just screams at him because you know he wants to just put him out of his misery. He wants to just end it so that
Yeah,
never happens again.
he's gotten to
But
that point where it's like, that's how you end this. Is you
yeah,
take his life. It's the only way to end it. And I'm like, but I can't.
yeah,
And that's part of
yeah,
his confliction as well. It's like, obviously with Matt Murdock being Catholic, he's a big believer in the Christian faith, Catholic faith. It's like he won't kill someone. He doesn't
yeah,
want to kill someone.
yeah,
But at the same time, without killing someone, let's take that time to dive into Daredevil himself now. To dive into Daredevil himself, the show, especially season 1, it is so raw and brutal.
mhm,
Like, it's so violent. It's violent in a lot of ways, but like the way it portrays it shows a lot of character to it. Like, even the fight scenes in that first episode, like, it set the tone. Like,
we can tell like
before you even get to like episode 2, where it's like the long shot like down the hallway, the one that everyone talks about and stuff.
yeah,
The fight scenes are so brutal. Like, when he gets hit, I feel the punch.
yeah,
When he
yeah,
throws punches, like, there's nothing like this guy has got an amazing superpower where he literally has so much balance and acrobatic ability. He could do so much stuff,
yeah.
and he's not. He's just smacking people as hard
That's
as he
that's
can.
That's one of the things that I really appreciated about how they directed the action was like you could tell like he was getting tired, and
Mm.
those hits that he was getting hit with were really hurting him, and like you don't really see that a lot. I know that's like a simple thing. It's like when you see a movie and somebody's shooting a gun and it doesn't run out of bullets.
Hmm.
It's the same thing. It's the little things that like people put in that are actually real world things. Like you do run out of bullets, and yes, hits do hurt.
Yeah, like
It's
he's
the little
getting.
things that they pay attention to.
But even think about that, the way they portrayed it, it was so good, because if you think about Daredevil's ability, everything's enhanced. His vision is gone,
Mhm.
but everything is super powerfully enhanced. Like, he can see people with vibrations. He says it to Stick at one point, and I think it's season 1. Like, he has to sleep on satin silk sheets because cotton is so rough against his skin. That's how sensitive his other senses are. Imagine
Yeah.
what a punch feels like.
Mm. Oh yeah, let me think about that.
If cotton is so like rough against his skin he can't even sleep on it, imagine what being punched in the face feels like. That hurts generally.
Yeah,
But he gets back up, he spits the blood out of it, and he gets on with it. And
yeah,
you see the roughness, you see the fight, and that's why Claire Temple's brought in Night Nurse, is brought into the show, is like patching up Matt Murdock because like
Okay,
he's getting the crap kicked out of him.
yeah, Matt Murdock gets wrecked. He almost gets killed multiple times, like, and you really see it. Like, you could really tell that he like is inches from death.
Oh yeah, he's in death's door, so close
Yeah.
in so many points. But he's a phenomenal character.
Can we agree that Daredevil is the best out of all the Netflix shows? Can we just agree off the top?
100%. My only argument is
What's up, Home Skillet?
Hey, Homeskill, how you doing, Rick? Thank you for those 17 bits. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you for coming and checking us out. The only argument I'll have for Daredevil is the only one that comes close to it and might even top it is Punisher. I am always back and forth because like Punisher is like one of those shows I'm like, I know a lot of people don't like the show. A lot of people didn't feel it and thought, oh, it's not great. I loved Punisher.
See, there's this thing. All right, so, and I know I've said this on the stream before, but I agree with you. I think after Daredevil, I think Punisher is the best Netflix character.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. Show too. I would say show. Yeah, I would say show too. But that being said, I think Daredevil. I think the way John Bernthal plays him in Daredevil season 2, which I think he's in season 2, right?
Yeah, he's in the start of season 2. That's I will say that right now. By the way, the only worthwhile thing in freaking season 2 is the half that Punisher's in.
Yeah.
The hand stuff sucks.
I agree, 100%.
But when it's him and Punisher, it's so good.
Agreed. But I will say I liked the Daredevil in I'm sorry.
The Punisher and Daredevil.
Punisher in Daredevil season 2 more than I did in his own show. That being said, I liked the Punisher show better than all of the other shows.
Oh yeah. Like
so, other than Daredevil, obviously. But.
Like absolutely, like the shows like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage were alright. Iron Fist sucked.
Oh, Iron Fist was awful.
The only two that were worthwhile were Punisher. Like I want a Punisher season 3. I don't care it's been cancelled. I need John Bernthal to put that skull back on. I need him to do what he does. I need Daredevil to suit up again and Charlie Cox to be in the horns again. Like the two of them.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Should we transition then, unless we have anything else for Daredevil, to actual Punisher?
The only thing I want to mention for Daredevil, just to mention it because we kind of talked about like him and Kingpin. I want to mention kind of the side characters, and which were good, and I want to kind of mention season 2, just because season 2 is a big thing because it plays into Defenders. Side characters are phenomenally cast. I have completely forgot his name, but the guy that plays Foggy Nelson.
Eldon Henson.
Eldon Henson, which you may recognize if you grew up watching the Mighty Duck films.
Mighty Ducks, yes.
Because that's where I noticed them from, and boy did I get a surprise! Like, oh my goodness, this is the rough kid from Mighty Ducks. Wow, he got old. And then I felt old, and then I was sad. But he was amazing as Foggy Nelson.
Yeah,
the chemistry between him and Charlie Cox was just... If you bring Charlie Cox back as Daredevil in the MCU, you have to bring him back as Foggy. That chemistry is just...
Yeah, it was great, especially when they did the flashbacks to law school. That was so cool.
Oh, the law school stuff was so good. And I really felt for their relationship as well. See, when he finds out that he's like Daredevil...
He's really hurt.
And he's and you can see the heart, like he's not wanting to abandon him, but he's like, you're my friend. You've been lying to me all this time, and I don't want to see you die. I'm like, I felt the emotion. I'm like, you give me another Netflix Marvel show that made me feel that much emotion for the characters as that did. He was amazing. I love him. And then of course Deborah Ann Worrell is Karen.
Karen Page, dude, she was fantastic.
She was phenomenal as Karen Page across Daredevil and Punisher. She was amazing. The connection she had to both those characters, the evolution from first scene we see her, she's next to a dead guy, blood on her, knife in her hand.
Yeah.
And they walk into the room and go, "Yeah, we're going to represent you. Like, I don't have any money. We don't have any clients."
yeah.
And then like she starts working with him at the law firm, and then she takes over Ben Urich's spot and becomes an investigative journalist. But at the same time, it feels natural. It feels like progression of her character. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's still part of me that goes like that. The guy at the head, like, yeah, you're giving Ben Urich's job to this woman that you've just met who asked a question and has never had any journalist training in her life. But okay, we'll throw a blind eye to that and roll with it because why not?
Yeah.
That's my only thing for that was like that. Really, she got that high a job in there without anything.
I think the trio of them as the face of that show, I think was such good casting.
It was so good. It really was, and try to think of other characters. I want to talk more about season 2, obviously, because we get
Electra.
that's one of the things I want to talk about her, but
Okay.
because she pops up in season 2 as well. Before we hit season 2, I want one last mention to season 3. The other big thing, which I'm sad there's not going to be a season 4, at least not on Netflix. Hopefully they continue it, because Bullseye.
So I was torn with Bullseye. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of him. I understood it and it made sense and I get it, but I wasn't a huge fan of him putting on Daredevil's costume and doing the whole "I'm Daredevil, but not really" type thing. I don't know. I just
No, but that's the thing.
Before.
But that's the thing, though. It's been done before, but not really on the show. And it's like, and I chalk it up to that. Like, Kingpin wants to like hurt him in every way.
Yeah,
and
it makes
and
sense.
it's a Kingpin plot, and that he uses this guy that he's clearly manipulated. But I think that was the thing I loved about the character, was seeing him as a cop and seeing him gradually get lost in himself.
Yeah, that
To the
was
point,
really cool.
to the point of right at the end where it's like, okay, season 4 we were like this close to getting actual Bullseye. Like,
Yeah.
season 3 was the build up. You know, like, I kind of feel like that with Kingpin as well. Like, season 1 we sort of saw the build up of Kingpin, but season 3 we got Kingpin.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
at his
the actual
top.
Kingpin.
I feel like that's what was building up for Bullseye, and then like season 4 we were meant to get Bullseye.
Yeah,
Like, could
that's
actually go toe to toe with Daredevil and give him a run for his money, and we just never got it. And it's a shame, because I felt like it was going to be a good payoff for it.
Oh man, you didn't like Colin Farrell Bullseye?
I may be Irish, but I'm not a leprechaun. You get it? Because he's Irish.
Oh yeah, I did get it.
Like, you get it? You get it? He's got the bullseyes carved into his head, so he's badass. Get it?
Just a little on the nose for you, in case you didn't get it.
Just a
But
little.
yeah, I really.
Don't get
I
me wrong.
liked it.
Don't get me wrong. Though, I kind of liked his bullseye. Just, it was so over the top and campy. It was
So
like,
campy,
it was
dude.
so enjoyable to be that campy. I don't think it was the right choice, but like, I can't not love that performance. Just, it's one of those ones, kind of like Trevor Slattery in Iron Man 3 for me. There's something about it being so over the top and ridiculous. It makes me laugh, and I can't help. It's a laugh of enjoyment. Like, I know it's stupid, and I know it's like, yeah, this was the worst decision ever, but I cannot help laugh at it.
Funny, I have a picture of him up from the movie,
Yeah.
and you could tell like either the movie was made in 2003, it came out in
Yeah.
2003, but like what he's wearing is 100% 90s.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
a
he's
total
got the
90s.
big circle silver necklace going on and the leather jacket. And I'm like, oh,
with
my
the
gosh.
pop collar on the leather
Yeah.
trench coat, and it's like, yeah, it's a
It's
total 90s. It's
it's
absolute
awful.
90s. I love it. I
But
love
yeah,
it.
it's
It's
like I like the character in season 3. I like the actual guy, and I liked his progression as a character. I just was torn on like him donning Daredevil's costume. I wasn't 100% with that. I get it. I understand why Kingpin
Yeah.
did it. I just was like, eh.
it makes sense story wise, but I can understand why it niggles. Okay, season 2, the often like not liked series of Daredevil, the one where everyone feels like it kind of dropped, mostly because of the hand stuff. Because like, and don't get me wrong, doing the hand is a smart move. It's one of Daredevil's big enemies. You want to see him, you know, how close he gets to the hand. He becomes the leader of the hand at one point. If you go and read Shadowland, you probably shouldn't read Shadowland because it's an awful story, but nonetheless, Daredevil becomes like, he doesn't just become like the leader of the hand, he becomes the beast. But it makes sense for it to be a thing. It makes sense for it to be in it. It wasn't the highlight. It felt, between that and Iron Fist season 1, you really felt like this was literally shoehorned in to set up Defenders.
Yeah.
The stuff apart from that was so good, like Punisher. The opening half of the season when it's him and Punisher, it's so good.
Dude, I know everybody talks about this, and I get it, but just that one scene, it's like almost half an episode where they're in the graveyard and they're talking, and like, and I think Charlie Cox said at one point, because you could see like he's crying, like Daredevil's crying under his mask, but he's like, no, that wasn't crying, that was sweat. But just the way that they're talking, and Frank Castle is like actually digging into his past and telling, you know, Matt Murdock a little bit about him and where he's coming from and why he is, you know, the way he is. Oh man, it's so good. It's so good.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Let me just check. I want to get this saying right because I keep.
Are you talking about the penny and the dime thing?
Yeah, one batch,
Yeah.
two batch, penny and dime.
Yeah.
Like the fact, like even saying that, which I'm kind of sad that he stopped saying that as much in his own show. Like he wanted Punisher and he didn't quite keep going with that, and I kind of it was a random catchphrase at first. You know, that's really weird, and then like the way they tied it into his family and stuff, and I love the way they portrayed Punisher in it. It's just they really made you feel heartfelt, and it was a really good setup to his own show where they explored his past and explored his family and what actually happened. It was so well done, and then just to see him like after Thomas Jane's Punisher movie, all you people out there that love it, I don't usually say this, you're wrong. It's awful. I don't want to see Punisher sitting drinking himself into a stupor
Yeah,
and
your
then
opinion does not matter if you believe. If you
and
like
then
that
get
movie.
into a fist fight with the Russian who is just Kevin Nash in a stripy shirt.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's I'm sorry. And John Travolta was the big bad for that, really. Like,
Yeah.
and then Punisher Warzone was like, I enjoy that film because it's so campy. Again, like
I
it's
actually like that. I like that one.
I like it because it's so campy. Like, I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
moment like when the guy jumps between the roofs and he literally just
Hits him with the rocket launcher.
I like it's
It's
so
awesome.
over the top, and I'm like I love it. And Ray Stevenson I thought was an interesting choice for it. I thought he did well,
Yeah, he
but
reminded me of the Punisher from the '90s, though. They're like really chiseled jaw
yeah,
type '90s type Punisher.
he definitely had that look to him.
Yeah,
But John Bernthal,
dude,
like
he's fantastic.
the moment he portrayed him in Daredevil season 2, he's Punisher.
Yeah,
He
I think
was Punisher.
pretty sure Walking Dead was his audition tape because I feel like he plays him very closely to the guy he plays in Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's like that's
Yeah,
the later end of Shane when he played Shane, and Shane was starting to kind of
Shane,
like
that's
lose
it.
his mind. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, there's definitely a bit of that in there, and we
yeah,
get to see like the ruthless Punisher. Like, I don't care, they're bad guys, like literally wiping out mobs, and like, and that's the thing with Punisher is he got that across, that element of he made you also feel sorry for him. The Punisher is going full out doing this stuff and taking these guys out to the point you're kind of on his side. Like, yeah, he's taking out bad guys. How's that a bad thing? But he's doing it to the extent of like, part of him's like, I don't care if I die.
yeah.
Part of him's like, I really don't care. Unless I've got
He's
some.
almost got, he's almost like got suicidal tendencies. Like,
Yeah, like even in his own show, you see that. Like, unless he's got something he feels like he needs to do, he feels like he's protecting someone or doing something. It's like he doesn't care. It's like
yeah,
dying isn't an issue to him. Like, I'm going to do this until I'm done. Like, he's lost everything.
hmm
It's like in. But we'll go into the Punisher series in a minute. One last thing I want to mention for season 2 though was Elektra. Elodie Young is Elektra. I thought she was decent in the role. I thought she did
yeah.
a decent enough job, like better than Jennifer Garner anyway.
How dare you?
She attacked a blind man. She didn't know he had superpowers, and then she started hitting a blind man. What is wrong with you? He's going toe to toe with me. Like, yeah, you didn't know that when you threw a punch. Like, I'm sorry.
No. See. I don't know a whole lot about Elektra, so I really can't talk. I can't speak to her. I can just speak to the way that she's been portrayed previously, and
I know bits
I
and
think
pieces of her. I'm not big on her story. I just know that her and Matt Murdock sleep together a lot.
yeah, I think Elodie Young, I think is her name.
Yeah.
I think she plays it fantastic.
I think she does a job good. I think she does a good job at it. Like, I'm not big on the Elektra character personally. I'm not big on it. Like, I think she did a good job though. But like,
Yeah,
I'm glad it stopped at Defenders. I'm glad we didn't go beyond that with her. Like, I thought,
I think if they took her out of the show, it wouldn't make that big of an impact.
yeah. Like at the end of Defenders, again spoilers. Like end of Defenders when like she dies, or well, we think Matt dies and he's fine, but like it looks like she actually dies. Um, it's like it's not a big thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm quite happy going back to wanting Matt and Karen to get together.
hmm
Like and playing that story a lot more. But she does a decent job. Okay, let's jump into Punisher then, because we've not really touched any of the other shows, and Punisher we've been talking about already. So Punisher literally picks up after Daredevil season 2. Like he appears at the start of that, and then he pops in at the end to help Daredevil out. And we jump straight into his show, and I'm like, I adore this show. I fell in love with Frank Castle during this show. Like I felt everything he was going through.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just
Oh,
talk about the prison scene.
I meant to mention that. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Everyone talks about the fight scenes in Daredevil, like the hallway fight scene, which is a good fight scene. I actually prefer the one in season 2 when he does the fight down the staircase. I actually prefer that, like, long shot. But no one mentions in Daredevil season 2 the Punisher's fight scene in the prison, where his prison cell's opened. That wing is locked off, and everyone's cells open, and they all decide they want a piece of Punisher, and Punisher literally takes a piece of every one of them, and I'm like,
well, the thing is, you can see, like, when the doors open, he's like, what's happening? And then you can see it on his face. He's like, all right, it's game time.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, it doesn't even phase him. Like, he wonders what's going on, but, like, he's facing all these guys, and, like, as he's fighting them, like, I'm legitimately believing, like, yeah, he's going to win this. You're not putting him down. Like, I can see it in his eyes, like, he's got so much determination.
Yeah, and he's just covered in blood, and he looks like an animal.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Well done.
I thought that was in Punisher for some reason.
No,
that was actually in Daredevil.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned it, because I meant to mention it and completely forgot there, and I'm like, thank you, because, like, that was one of the things that solidified him as an amazing character.
Yeah.
But then we got into his own show, and it was handled so well, because in the first season we get the whole big conspiracy. There's a whole big conspiracy theory. Again, I don't want to ruin this for you guys, but go and check it out if you've not already. Come back and watch this later, absolutely. But and the whole big conspiracy theory, basically, that's like from high up in the US government all the way through his trip in the military, and he finds out his best friend's part of it as well, and all this stuff, and it's like, but just how it builds it up slowly, it builds towards it. Like, I'll be honest, I did not click that his best friend Billy, who they kept calling the pretty boy, was Jigsaw. And I know that Jigsaw's name is Billy, and I know that he was like a pretty boy before Punisher mangles his face. I did not pick up on it in the end until I saw his face after it was busted up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's Jigsaw.
Dude, when he's dragging his face across that merry-go-round glass.
That's my only issue with season 2, is that when he shows back up as Jigsaw, and his face is like fine apart from a couple of stitches.
He's got like a little pock mark right here.
and it's the mask, which I love, that Jigsaw mask. I want that to sit on the set behind me. I want that Jigsaw mask. But I'm like, see, when he took that mask off, like, no, your face should be effed up. Like, seriously, it should be completely wrecked.
Yeah, it looks like he tripped, like, when he was little, and he's got a scar. Like,
he smashed your face through a mirror on a merry-go-round.
I'm coming from I grew up in the 90s, so I collected comics from the 90s, and everything was bigger in the 90s, obviously. You had who created Daredevil? Not Daredevil. Deadpool. What was his name again?
Oh, Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, Rob Liefeld. He puts pouches on everything. Everything was bigger in the 90s. Everybody had more guns and everything. But Jigsaw in the 90s, he looked awful. Like, you're talking about scars all over his face. Like, he almost looked like Two-Face, but a whole face.
Yeah, it's meant to be messed up. That's why he's Jigsaw, because his face looks like a jigsaw puzzle that's been put back together badly.
Yeah.
That's my only complaint about it, is the fact that, like, his face should have been messed up more. But, like, the whole conspiracy theory, like, I love Frank Castle's story. I love learning his story. I love the fact that he starts getting close with, like, Microchip's family, who obviously connects with Microchip, who's on the run as well, and he starts getting close to that, and it allows us to see flashbacks of Frank's family. And I felt so heartbroken for him, like, when we start seeing Frank's family, and you start seeing all the people, that he's missing them, that he doesn't get to see them. He starts remembering his wife and stuff, and then it starts showing stuff of, like, him being abusive when he came back from the military, and him being angry and yelling and going off at them, and it's all just PTSD that's messing him up, and he can't function properly. And you almost see that, like, and it's almost that thing of, like, Punisher didn't start when his family died.
Yeah.
And the beginning of Punisher was when he came back from the military. His family dying was just what put him over the edge,
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, it's so well done. It's just so, the story's amazing, and I love the partnership with him and Microchip. I'm so sad that Microchip doesn't appear in season 2, like, at all.
Yeah.
Because I love
Don't they, like, turn him at one point against Punisher in the series? Or try to, at least?
They try to in the series, I think. I don't think they ever do, but they kind of try to, and
That was
One,
that was such a cool dynamic.
yeah, like I need to go back and watch the show so badly. Like
I
it's
do too.
the only thing I hated from season one, that I absolutely hated, was who was the chick that was like, is it the head of the CIA or whatever it was? The company, I can't remember the company's name. But the chick that was in the head of that Billy Russo was like sleeping with, and like was
Well, I
basically
know what you're talking about.
was like manipulating and stuff like that. Like I couldn't stand her. Like every time it flashed back to her, I got so bored. And they kept flashing
Yeah.
back. Oh yeah, like your partner was the one that they killed when they were over there, and that started this whole thing. And you
Oh,
know,
Amber Rose Reva was her name.
yeah, like I couldn't stand her character. Like it's you're literally here as a plot device, and they're trying to make you relevant to the story. And let's be honest,
Dina Madani.
yeah,
Dina Madani was.
that was a
Yeah.
Madani.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan.
The
I
only good
really
bits,
liked.
the only good bits
Go
with
ahead.
her, and it was literally when Punisher was saving her.
Yeah. I really like the bits between Punisher and Ben Barnes though. I thought they were really good.
They, the build up of their relationship, like through season one when they're best friends, and you start learning that Russo's basically on the opposite end of it. He's one of the guys that basically bought into the conspiracy, that bought into like selling people out and to get higher up in the government, and was actually the one responsible for his family being taken out. That he had a role in that, and it's like, and then Punisher just let rips on him. And then we just see him in season two, like literally, like Jigsaw over the edge. Like his mind is gone. He is just so. And I love the way they play it up in season two as well. Like they play up the first part of season two, like he's got amnesia, so like he thinks that Frank's turned on him. He thinks that Castle's like turned his back on him and is doing this stuff, and he can't work out why. And then it all comes back, and
He just goes nuts.
that last two episodes, like where basically he goes to the apartment to hunt him, and they go into the streets. Like that scene of them in the streets, where like they're getting into the car, and like Punisher's just standing in the middle of the street, completely geared out, and it just goes into this big, massive thing between the two of them. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
Punisher has such great action and such great storytelling and so much subtlety as well. Like, and the funny thing is to think it was never on the slate for Netflix. It wasn't being created. It was being considered, and it wasn't until John Bernthal played Punisher in Daredevil that everyone went, "We need him in that show."
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't originally. Originally, it was only meant to be Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and they were going to come together as the Defenders. Punisher was not on the slate until like John Bernthal did such a good job that everyone was crying out like, "We need a Punisher show."
He was so fantastic, man.
I need him in the MCU as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to see
really think
him playing off of people. Like I want to delve deeper into the fact of like how Frank Castle is this on edge person, but I want to have him like reminisce thinking about Captain America. Obviously, Chris Evans has stepped out of the role Captain America's done in the MCU, but I want to see Frank Castle reminiscing because he looked up to him. That was his hero, was Captain America.
Well, I just keep going back to this one splash page. It was from Civil War, where
Yeah, I know the one you're going to say.
I think the heroes who are against I forgot what the act was called.
Oh yeah, the
Act.
Superhero Registration Act. Yeah.
The ones who were against that, including Captain America, I believe, were in a bunker somewhere, and Punisher is obviously against it as well. And I think this is where Spider-Man had actually switched sides, because I think he sided with Tony first, and then kind of switched sides. So like, apparently, I don't know how he got like basically beat to death almost, but Punisher busts open the door, and it's a splash page of him cradling Spider-Man, basically screaming for help. And it was like, that's like a super impactful like panel.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. He came late into the Civil War thing. They didn't want to use Punisher because he was too over the top.
Yeah.
And like literally, he goes into a point of being way too over the top for their team. And there's this moment. There's a great scene between Punisher and Captain America, where like Punisher's put all these lives in danger, and he's had to be stopped by the people who are on the side against the Registration Act. And Captain America is beating the crap out of him. He's like laying into him, like for what he's done. He's busting him up. He is bruised. He is bloody. He is broken. And Punisher refuses to throw a punch back. He even says to him like, "I'm not going to fight you." He has so much respect for Cap. He has so much respect for who Steve Rogers is. Like, I'm not willing to fight you. I'm not willing to throw a punch at you. I'm not willing to do that. It's like, you are the hero. You are the best hero there is. I'm not going to fight you. And just that alone says so much to Punisher's character. And I'm like, I need him in the MCU movies because I need him to react to that. I need to see that side of him. The fact of, like, he's more than just this killing machine with a broken past. Like, there's these other elements to his character. They can't be fully explored without the other heroes.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room regarding MCU movies. Do you think they will recast? I think they will, and I think they'll recast including Daredevil. I do.
I think they probably will. It's hard to say because it's different than, like, when they got back the characters from, like, Fox, like when they got back, like, Daredevil and Ghost Rider and all these different stuff from Fox.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's different because it's still owned by them. It's just it's a deal that's going on with Netflix.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's going on now is obviously the fact of, like, the Netflix shows were originally meant to tie in. I was saying it when I was talking to Isaac in the chat when I done the episode 1 review. It's so funny to hear them talking because they're talking about, like, New York being destroyed and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's clear there was meant to be hints to the Avengers and what was going on in the bigger MCU, and then everything was meant to be connected, and then it just wasn't. So it's like it's hard because I know that's what they're doing now. Like, they've stopped all the Netflix shows, they've stopped the Hulu shows, the ABC shows, because they're wanting to do the Disney Plus shows, so that, you know, that's why we're getting, like, Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's why we're getting Wanda and Vision. We're getting continuation of characters we've seen in the movies. And then newer shows like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight and stuff are going to tie into that. They're going to be part of the MCU. So it's like, it's hard because it's like they're stopping everything to make everything actually connected the way that it was meant to be, like, 10 years ago. But it's hard. It's like, the thing is, as well, is, like, if they do recast them, and I mean, especially, like, for Daredevil, that's the big one that everyone's talking about right now. If they do recast it, they have to be smart. Like, if you're going to recast that, you have to get the perfect person, because right now everyone, as far as they're concerned, you got the perfect person. Just do Daredevil season 4, just tie it in.
Yeah, because I just think with those two shows, specifically Daredevil and Punisher, I'm sure you can, but I don't know how much better of a casting you could get for those specific characters.
No, and like, I think the casting for most of them was spot on. Like, I think most of the cast was spot on. Even Danny Rand in Iron Fist, I don't think the guy himself is a bad actor. I think it was just a crap show.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you.
I think he could have done a lot better if he had a lot better of a show to work with, but I've not really seen him in anything else, so I'm like...
Well, granted, I don't think it was his fault. I just think it was the writing. Because I've seen him in other things, and he's good. But
that's my thing, is, like, I don't think the casting was bad for any of the shows. I think some of the shows were just really badly done.
Yeah.
You know, like, Iron Fist obviously is the main, you know, the main one. It's that was badly done. But yeah, so it's like, I think it'll be interesting to see if they recast it. But so yeah, let's jump into some of the other shows then, because we kind of talked a bit about Punisher. By the way, guys, go and watch these again. I'm going to be going back to watch these shows.
Yeah, I am too.
It's like I've not had a chance to sit through them again for a while. I'm going to definitely go back and watch Daredevil and Punisher 100%.
What about Jessica Jones?
Jessica Jones. Okay, I have to put a disclaimer on this one for me. I did not watch Jessica Jones. I got caught up for the show by watching recaps on YouTube of the seasons. My reasoning for not watching it was basically a lot of the shows have a lot more adult themed stuff in it, because it's on Netflix, obviously. Jessica Jones had a lot of sexual content in it. I mean, like, literally there was like 2 sex scenes and a half naked woman within the first half of the first episode. And I'm like, for me personally, for anyone that's not aware, like, I did struggle with pornography for a long time. I struggle with that. I tend to avoid stuff with high sexual content in it and stuff like that. It's something I struggle with for a long time, and it's just something I don't delve into. If you've watched the show and you've enjoyed it, more power to you. For me, it's just something I avoid. Like, it's not worth throwing that away for a TV show. I did get caught up on recaps on what happened. For Jessica Jones, on what I've seen and what I've heard of the show, season 1 was phenomenal. Season 1 is up there with like Daredevil and Punisher.
Yeah.
The storyline, the way they spaced it out, the way they laid it up, and I've got to be honest, a lot of it is like Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones is a great casting. She's a phenomenal actress. She's beautiful. She's great at the character. She like looks like Jessica Jones. You kind of got her any more spot on. But a big part of why it works is David Tennant. Kilgrave is amazing.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And I didn't know David Tennant from a lot of different things before this. But man, he is fantastic in this.
Yeah, I love David Tennant. Like I was a fan of him in Doctor Who and Broadchurch. I've seen some of his other stuff. Obviously worked in the UK and lesser known things before he really burst into America. But like him as Kilgrave, it was so good. Like I've never seen him play a villain to that extent before, and just letting him go on something like that. He is such a good actor. He is. I don't care how popular he is. He's still underrated on how good David Tennant actually is. He made that first season.
Yeah, I agree. If he wasn't in it, yeah, I agree.
It's like, and it's proved in the later seasons. If you watch season 2 and 3, like, you know, spoilers again, he dies. He gets killed at the end of season 1, which, you know, is actually one of those deaths of a villain that actually makes sense in Marvel. Because like the way they build it up and the way they build up the history of him and Jessica and stuff like that, it makes perfect sense. But season 2 and 3 just it goes downhill without him. It really does.
Just to be transparent, I don't remember a lot of Jessica Jones, and I didn't watch season 2, honestly, just because I wasn't a huge fan of it. But I would agree with everything you're saying. I think Kristen Ritter was awesome as Jessica Jones. I liked how they tied into the other shows, because this show introduced Luke Cage.
Yeah.
You know, because he was I believe he was the bartender at that.
Yeah, he was a bartender in season 1 and stuff, and you even get to see like him and Jessica sleeping together and stuff like that. Obviously, hinting towards like in the comics where they get married and they have a kid and stuff.
Yeah. So that was cool, and I really love David Tennant as Kilgrave. But other than that, I don't honestly really recall a whole lot from the show.
Yeah, some of the other characters were interesting. Like I always thought it was interesting they had Trish Walker as like one of her sidekicks who. And for anyone that doesn't know, Patsy Walker is also known as Hellcat as a hero in Marvel comics. I thought it was interesting including her. Boy, does her character change as it gets into the later seasons as she starts getting like addicted to taking stuff to make her super strong and starts becoming a near-edge villain and stuff like that. And the show is interesting. I think with Kilgrave is amazing. The way they build up the story, the way that if anyone hasn't seen it, Kilgrave has got mind control powers that he develops after. They even do like a backstory of Kilgrave where he's had an abusive childhood, and he develops this basically psychic ability. He can tell people to do something and they do it, and he completely wins them over. Like, you know, she goes to investigate and there's a restaurant where people say, yeah, we did everything he told us, no one knows why, we just did. He keeps women like locked up and abuses them and has them as slaves basically. You know, she goes to rescue the girl that she's looking for that leads her back to Kilgrave who'd done it to her, and finds her in a hotel bed, and she won't get out the bed because he told her to stay there. So like Jessica Jones literally needs to carry her out the room, and she's fighting to stay because he's told her to stay in the room. It's like it's a really interesting portrayal, and then obviously it plays into her backstory and the trauma and the PTSD that she's got because she went through it, and then what happens now that she is immune to it basically. And you see him like trying to like up his ability and stuff like that, and it's like it's so well done.
This is another one of those shows where I know I was talking about it earlier, but I really like the aesthetic of the show.
Yeah.
Like it's like a noir detective crime, like a lot of neon, a lot of dark, rainy. I love the feel of the show. It feels very this word is super overused, but it feels very gritty. You know, like you can almost feel the texture of the show, if that makes sense.
No, it really does. It plays into her character. I think they capture like the Alias comics as well. You know, also the Alias comics are very gritty and stuff.
Yeah.
And how they portray everything, and I think it's done really well. And then you get into the later seasons, and it's like I'm trying to remember what happens in the next season. I literally just watched these recaps and they're so forgettable. Like, I've completely forgotten what even really happens in them.
I'll be straight up. I didn't watch season 2, and I did not even know that there was a season 3. So.
Yeah. Well, season 3 was like literally about to come out when they basically went, yeah, everything's cancelled.
Okay.
So a lot of people kind of went, well, there's not really a point in this then. And season 3 is awful. Like season 2 is the whole thing where she starts splitting up with her friends, and there's people like going after different people with abilities and stuff like that, and all this. And then I'll be honest, I got bored halfway through the recap of season 3, and I'm like, I wouldn't have made it through season 3. I watched the recap, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, you've literally, I don't care about what's happening to these characters. And like that's Iron Fist levels of bad for me. So like I can't totally speak into Jessica Jones, to be completely honest, but like I don't, even watching the recaps, I don't remember. In all honesty,
Well,
it's
it really wasn't my jam. I really dug the aesthetic in the show. I thought the casting was really good.
yeah.
But
Season 1 is good. Season 1 is really good, and the casting of like her, of Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones is spot on. Yeah. Let's jump into Luke Cage then, because we mentioned him. He obviously makes his debut in Jessica Jones, which is phenomenal. And he gets to make his debut there, and they have that little connection. It's very focused on Harlem.
Yep.
A lot of the shows like focus on different stuff. Like, so we get like Daredevil's got an extra look at violence and how violence works and sexuality in Jessica Jones, and this one is 100% race. This is 100% looking at black culture in Harlem and black v black, because we get Luke Cage, who's an ex-convict, who ends up getting superpowers while he's in prison. They do an experiment on him, and he has unbreakable skin. Not anything else. He's not like invulnerable to stuff. We see that throughout the show. Like if someone gets, like someone puts something inside his body, or someone gets him through the eye, or something like that that's vulnerable, it's literally his skin that's unbreakable. And he's trying to play it up, working in Pop's barbershop and trying to just live a good life. But we also get to look at the other side of the thing, which what's his name again? Cottonmouth.
The dude who plays him.
Yeah, the guy that plays Cottonmouth,
Cottonmouth.
the villain. Like Cottonmouth, I love Cottonmouth. He was a phenomenal
awesome.
villain.
He was awesome.
One of the biggest mistakes they made was him getting killed off, like halfway through the season.
Yeah, I feel like he's another type of villain. I kind of like, I equate him, not equate him, but he kind of reminds me of Wilson Fisk in that like he doesn't have to show a lot of brute force or show a lot of force for you to know that he's not somebody to be messed with.
No, and it's like you totally kind of get that, and you see like they first come across paths when like Luke has to cover for a friend of his and works like behind the bar there. You know, his friend asked him if he can cover him for it because like he used to work at a bar. You know, hint hint, he was in Jessica Jones doing that, so he ends up working there. I'm trying to remember like the introduction for like how they really clash, but basically Cottonmouth is running like Harlem.
Yeah.
And Luke Cage starts getting in it, and it's like some of the kids that come into Pop's barbershop and stuff like that is meant to be a neutral ground, and they essentially like attack Pop's barbershop and kill him. And Luke starts going after Cottonmouth, starts going after his drug running, his gangs, his weapons. He starts going after everything. You know, it's like the joke obviously like that his superhero costume is just a hoodie. He gets constantly shot up because he gets shot at constantly. And then like we get halfway through the season, we get the death of Cottonmouth, who's killed by his sister, Black Mariah, who is a big villain again for Luke Cage in the comics and stuff. But like he's throwing him over the balcony and stuff, and then smashing his head in. It's like she's a terrifying villain, but she should have been saved for season 2.
Yeah.
They should have built her up for season 2. They should have built her up to take over from Cottonmouth and have her do that at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I don't
they
think
did kind of do it mid-season, right?
Yeah, it was literally like halfway through. It was like episode 5 or 6 she done it.
Yeah.
And it's like she kind of takes over because she's kind of more on the political side. She's doing more of the stuff trying to build up Harlem and making herself look good, and then she takes over his club and kind of starts running his organization from it. And then like you get Shades, who's like the most ridiculous stupid character. Like his face just looks weird to me. Like, why are you here?
I love Theo Rossi though. I mean, he's a good guy. Well, I liked him in Sons of Anarchy, but
yeah, he was in Sons of Anarchy, and then it's like he came into this, and it was like, what are you doing here? You're literally
you don't.
There's literally nothing for you to do here. It was talking about who was he working for? I can't even remember the name of the guy he worked for, but that's when he came to Cottonmouth, and
He's working for Diamondback.
Diamondback, that's it.
Yeah.
Diamondback, who was crap. Literally,
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of him.
literally nothing worthwhile from him. And is it the end of season 1 that Diamondback comes into it?
I don't
He's meant to be like
know.
the guy who can go blow to blow with Luke Cage, and it's like I just felt like they took a hard left turn with Diamondback. Like in season 1, like it was like they were doing the stuff with Cottonmouth, and then even the stuff with Black Mariah, they were building her up, and then they had Diamondback, like this guy that knew Luke Cage and knew where he came from, and we can, I can go toe to toe with you, her. And I'm like, you've literally just stomped on everything that you were building up. It was getting built up so good. Like Cottonmouth and Black Mariah were amazing villains, and it was such a slow burn. It was done so well.
Yeah, and I'll be straight up. I'm not normally a. Well, I take that back. His costume, when he finally got into costume, I forgot when it was, but it was in Luke Cage. I think it might have been season 2. Was awful. The costume was awful. No, it was season 1. It was at the end of season 1. So season 1, episode 13 is when he finally gets his costume, and I'm just like, dude, who designed this?
Yeah,
It's just awful.
yeah. Costume work's not really something you needed for Luke Cage. Like literally, him just being him was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the build up to season 1 and the way they were trying to do that, and I don't know. The end of it felt rushed. It kind of felt like it was rushed to try and get ready for Defenders. Like even like the whole, like, they rushed that stuff with him so they could set up Black Mariah, and then it was like, oh, and also we need him to start going back to prison, so that at the start of Defenders we can stop him going to prison. Oh, and that's right. That's also who comes into it. I completely forgot about her. Misty Knight.
Mr. Knight, yep.
We get the introduction of Misty Knight pre, robotic arm.
Yeah, do you know a lot about her, like from the comics?
I know a little bit about her. She was part of like the Heroes for Hire.
Okay.
She's part of like
So
Heroes for
that
Hire is usually like Luke Cage and Danny Rand, like Power Man and Iron
got it.
Fist. And they were literally heroes for hire. That's why the whole thing of like Luke Cage being a hero for hire, it started as that, and then it became an
Yeah.
organization, which Misty Knight ends up running and kind of doing for them when she steps away from the police. And you also
Yeah.
get her and Colleen Wing from Iron Fist actually team up together and become the Daughters of the Dragon.
Got it.
So it was all kind of interconnected. Like that's what I was literally like. I don't want, like, after Iron Fist happened, I was like, after they done the Defenders, like I don't want Luke Cage season 2. I don't want Iron Fist season 2. I want a Heroes for Hire show. Get
Yeah.
Danny Rand to start acting normal. Get Luke Cage to be himself. Get in Misty Knight. Get in Colleen Wing, and let's do a Hero for Hire show. Why not? Let's just jump right into this, because why not? It'd be more freaking enjoyable than what we got.
I feel like I'm about to drop a very controversial opinion, which I'm not, I'm pretty familiar with doing that on this show.
That's what I was going to
But-
say. Is like your geek cred's going down as it is, man. Do you really want to drop controversial stuff?
So I love Mike Coulter as an actor. I think he's fantastic. I don't know if he was right for Luke Cage. And I say that not physicality wise, but like I feel like I don't know. I feel like Luke Cage needed like a tad bit more charisma. And I felt like that was I think that was one of the things with that show, because I felt myself leaning more towards the villains and all that stuff, how interesting and stuff they were. And then when I got back to Luke Cage, I was like, I mean, he's good, but I'm like, I felt like I was missing something. I don't know.
I can see
If that
that.
makes sense.
I can see that. I think he was good for the role, but the role was definitely written very chill.
Yeah,
Like he was very calm, very collected, very. He had some good lines. He did have some good charismatic moments, but it wasn't like all the time. And I'm like, maybe he could have like. He could have been tweaked a little at least. I think.
yeah. And I'm not saying he needs to be like, super energetic or anything like that, but maybe, excuse me, maybe that was just intentional, which that's cool, but it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah. But then jumping into season 2, we obviously get Black Mariah taking over the club, and she's the big bad. And then we also get the Jamaican dude,
Oh, I totally forgot about him.
who like totally tries to take apart Luke Cage and like goes into like a turf war with Black Mariah and her group. And
The Bushmaster dude, right?
yeah, Bushmaster, that was
Yeah.
it. Yeah, Bushmaster. He was a cool character. I did like Bushmaster. I thought he was done very well. There's a death in Harlem, and it's like from their group, and he comes in and ends up going after Luke Cage and stuff like that because he starts to interfere. And I always felt Luke Cage was a very kind of okay show, to to be honest. Like, I was never fully invested in what was going on. Like,
Yeah, I would agree.
the interesting stuff was the fight between them. We got to see Black Mariah, and we got to see like the stuff with her daughter and how strange they were, and then Black Mariah, she dies, right? Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so. I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe she dies. If I'm wrong, correct me. But yeah, like she dies, and her daughter kind of hints that she's taking over, sort of thing, and going to be doing that sim sort of stuff that her mother was doing, and hinting towards that, and then we get like Luke Cage ends up owning like Harlem's Paradise and becoming the big boss there and takes over everything.
Yeah.
Which, and honestly, was a really they were obviously going somewhere with that, and it was a really crappy way for them to end season 2 because obviously got cancelled before they could show any of that. We do see him reappear in Jessica Jones season 3, and he shows up her door at one point as like in his like suit and everything like that. Now that he's running Harlem's Paradise, but it's clear that they were going somewhere with it, and it's like, okay, this might actually get interesting. Cancelled.
Yeah.
Luke Cage, I always felt was an alright show, and maybe it was just me. Maybe it was one of those shows that was never meant for me. But I'm like,
That was my thought process as well.
Like I felt like Punisher and Daredevil were great. I felt like Jessica Jones was good and started going downhill every season. Luke Cage, I always felt like, it's alright. I saw a lot of people getting excited about it. A lot of people really enjoyed it and stuff, and it was just never a show I've really enjoyed. I thought the casting was interesting for the most part. It seemed to be really good. But it just, I don't know. This wasn't for me. One of the best things about season 2 I loved though was the episode where Danny Rand shows up. Because like I tend to love like Danny Rand not in Iron Fist, but when he showed up in Luke Cage, it was like, that's Danny Rand. That's what he's meant to be like. Why can't his own writers write him like that?
Remember,
Like,
I don't see. All right, so this is another. I don't think I finished watching season 2 of Luke Cage. So I don't remember him coming into season 2.
he came in for like an episode because season 2 takes place after Defenders, so they know each
Okay.
other. So Danny Rand shows up, but he's a lot more laid back. He's a lot more jokey. He's a lot more chilled out and stuff.
Yeah.
And seeing them fight together was awesome. And I'm like, this is why I want a Hero for Hire show.
Yeah.
Like these two together, just like this, is awesome. But let's get into the one that most people are probably waiting for us to talk about.
One thing before
yep.
we get in Iron Fist, I'm sorry. One little cool detail that I really liked about Luke Cage, and then we can jump in Iron Fist. When they did like flashbacks and they showed him where he was, getting like basically tortured in prison, and he got superpowers from that. So for those of you who know, his comic book outfit from like way back was like he had like a tiara.
Oh yeah, the tiara headband.
It was like a tiara, and it was like gauntlets, and they show him, as he's laying on the table, he's wearing the tiara and the gauntlets. So it was like a cool little like Easter egg throwback to like the fans of Luke Cage. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, like he walks out there after he gets superpowers, he breaks into jail and he sees his reflection. Like, no, takes off and throws it away. It was a really cool little Easter egg to it. I really did like that as well.
But yeah, we can jump into Luke Cage. I just remember, I'm not Luke Cage, Iron Fist. I just remembered that though.
But yeah, just looking at our time, I definitely wanted to talk about Iron Fist.
Absolutely.
The most hated
Not
of the Marvel Netflix shows. Critically panned by fans. This show was hated.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
This dude is supposed to be like, all right, when you go through the Marvel rankings online, like who's the best martial artist? Like Iron Fist is up there.
Yeah, like he's been trained.
He's like top 10, top 15 maybe. That did not reflect on the show.
Oh no, he's definitely top 10 martial artist, maybe even top 5. I mean, like he crashes in that plane. Like they go into his history where he goes to Kung Lung. He goes there as a kid. He is trained from a young age, and he gets the Iron Fist. The Iron Fist is an honor. Is an honor that's bestowed to people.
Yeah.
And it's bestowed to the best of the best.
Yeah.
Was he really your best?
Looked like he went to had beginner karate lessons for like a month. Maybe not that bad, but it was bad. It was bad.
there's so many things. Like I don't even. Okay.
All right, let's list it off. Okay, let's
Okay,
list it off.
I need to prep myself. There's so many things bad with this show that I'm like I don't even know where to begin without just rambling.
The choreography. All right, so when you're coming off of a show like Daredevil, where Daredevil is not, he hasn't been studying martial arts for 10 years. He's learning when he can. I
Yeah.
mean, he has. I'm sorry, he has. So ever since he was little, he's been studying martial arts. So he's really good,
Iron Fist should be on the same sort of level as Daredevil,
if not better.
ability wise. It's like I would give Daredevil the edge just because of his super abilities. Like it allows him to do certain to do that because like the Iron Fist doesn't really amplify the abilities; it just makes your fist like indestructible.
Yeah.
So for that I would give it, but like he should at least be on par with Daredevil. Like they should fight to a standstill sort of thing.
I'm just looking. I grew up with kung fu movies, and I'm just looking at the difference in choreography between Daredevil and Iron Fist, and it's not even close. Like he's not even in the same realm as Daredevil.
I think one of the big things behind that, for me anyway, at least I think it's all connected to it, was like, let me ask you a question, or two questions. What does Kung Lung look like? The mystical city where he spent like 20 years of his life growing up.
Yeah.
What does it look like?
We don't know.
Bar the room in season 2 where we see him and he's, what's his name? The other guy.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name, but I know.
I completely blanked on his name. He's a good actor as well. Badly wasted, but yeah. Apart from the room where they have their fight to decide which one of them is going to be who's going to be the Iron Fist and face the dragon. What does Kung Lung look like? Anyone? What does the city look like? I don't know. I see it in the distance a little bit. I seen it when like the hand destroyed it at the end of season 1 in the distance, and when he was leaving, you see it off in the distance, and
yeah. That was a missed opportunity, man.
What does the dragon look like?
That question, but did he actually beat a dragon?
I don't know. We saw something in the shadows at one point.
Maybe.
Possibly. There was something glowing, like that could be a dragon. I'm like, the dragon didn't bestow this to him. He had to beat the dragon. That's why he has the tattoo on his chest. And why he has the Iron Fist, because he beats the dragon and gets the power.
Raymond Rodriguez is that guy's name, by the way.
Raymond Rodriguez.
Ramon Rodriguez.
Ramon Rodriguez. Phenomenal actor.
Yes.
I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. He's a great actor. He is sorely wasted in this show.
Bakudo is his name.
Akuro, that was it. I'm trying to think of his character name as well. Bakuro was a great character. Like even the storyline for season 2 with him, I'm like, this is a great thing because you can play into Kung Lao. You can play into the fact of like, you weren't one of us. You did not deserve that. I was told. You can play into it's the old trope, but it's a good trope of it's the low key trope we talked about when we talked about the Marvel Phase 1. You told me from a young age I was born for this, that I was meant to get this, and then you give it to him. No wonder he went nuts. And then what happens? He's meant to stay there and protect Kung Lung for the hand, and he leaves. Of course he's going to be mad. Of course he's going to be angry. You could have done so much with that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's Ramon Rodriguez is Bakudo, but the guy we're talking about is Davos. Sasha Juwan.
Davos.
That was the guy, yeah. He was the former best friend of Danny Rand.
Who's Bakudo then? Bakudo's the guy that works for the hand. That's right. He's the guy that's trying to call Colleen Wing in season 1. That's right.
That's my bad. But yeah, they had such an opportunity.
Can't get the help these days. You really can't.
They had such an opportunity to kind of revisit Kunlun and kind of like build that up and like flesh out his backstory.
Even if you didn't want to reveal the whole thing in season 1, you could have built up different sections of it. You could have built up his training as a kid. You could have built up him facing the dragon right at the end. You could have built all of that up. Especially if what you were doing in season 2 was have him face Davos. Was have him fight him, because Davos is basically like, I deserve the Iron Fist, and even like leading into stealing the Iron Fist for himself. Like you needed to build that up in season 1 so far, and what did we get? We got a family drama. about a family I don't care about.
Yep.
Why? And do you know why I think that? Well, I take it back a little. I was going to say, do you know why that was a problem with it? But then again, they didn't have that issue in season 2, and it was still crap. But they focused so much on the hand because they were Iron Fist we're setting up defenders. Which I'd like to point out, you built up Iron Fist as if he's meant to be this great defender, the guy that's going to beat the Iron Fist, and then he did like jack all. The only importance he had was he was the one that opened like the dragon, where the dragon bones were at the end of like Defenders. That was literally the only role he had. Daredevil was a bigger part of that, but yet you spent the whole first season building up the hand, building them up, building. I am the Iron Fist. It is my sworn duty to defend Kong Lung from the hand. Yeah, I know you told me that 5 episodes ago. Say something else. Anything else.
Just think the show fails on 2 major points. One, I'm supposed to believe that this dude is just a master martial artist, and he has been training for decades for this moment. I don't believe that. Not from what I see on the show. Not from the very beginning. I don't believe it.
You know how you could have portrayed that? You could literally have even portrayed that without having a fight scene. I'm literally thinking, like, we've been watching through Avatar The Last Airbender because it dropped to Netflix. I'm literally thinking of at the start of book 3, they go to the Fire Nation and they're undercover there trying to get a firebending teacher for Aang. So Aang's like in a full, like, he dresses like to hide in a school uniform for the Fire Nation, and he gets caught by the cops and told, hey, you're meant to be in school, and gets into a fight with one of the bullies there. He literally beats the bully by not throwing a punch.
Yeah.
By literally just ducking and blocking and walking around him and stepping around him and does nothing to him.
Yeah.
You could have literally set up how good Danny Rand is by doing that.
Yeah.
You could have set up how good he is without him having to throw a punch and beating someone, just by stepping out the road, just by knowing what was coming. And you couldn't even do that.
Think about Neo at the end of The Matrix, the first one, when he's just blocking the crap out of.
Oh yeah, like just.
Yeah, he's not throwing any punches. He's
not even putting effort into it.
He's not even trying. Yeah. But something like that. So I think the choreography, for me, is the major misstep. I think 2 very closely followed is the writing. I don't know, because I think the guy who they got to play Danny Rand, I think he would have been better, maybe not the best, but better if the writing was better. I don't know. I
think it could have been. I'd love to have found out.
Yeah. And
I will say this, by the way, that the guy that they got to write Iron Fist was awful. This is the same guy who, if you want to see what other stuff he's done, was then moved from Iron Fist onto the Inhumans TV show. He's the same guy that wrote Marvel's Inhumans. Like, he has not wrote anything for Marvel that has not bombed.
Well, the fact that you said they wrote, when Danny Rand came into Luke Cage, he was way better. I would assume that somebody else at that point was writing for him.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So that obviously, that sheds a little light on the fact that it was the writing for this show.
Yeah, the writing was
at least to some extent.
The writing was horrific, and then it was also the fact of like his adoptive family, which or like you're kind of his adopted. It's like the way they portrayed it as if it was like meant to be his family, but I'm like, but he's been missing since he was a kid. Yeah. He crashed in the plane that killed his parents.
Yeah, these
were just kids he played with. Like their father worked with his father. Like, they were best friends as kids, and I'm like, and they played it up like that. He's got this real deep connection to them. He doesn't know who they are. He's not seen them for 20 years. Yes, I get it. We're trying to pretend like, yes, the woman that he grew up with that used to be his friend as a child, yes, she's hot and he might have a thing for her. But we're kind of going to hint at that in episode 1 and never go back to it. And then there's the brother who is trying to work with the dad who is brought back by the hand and is trying to make his dad proud, and they're also trying to like get Danny to work for them, but overthrow him because it's that. I'm like,
so complicated. It's unnecessarily complicated.
I don't care. Like, the hand resurrected their father. Like, I've watched both seasons of that show. I'm like, why? I've never fully understood why they resurrected him.
Yeah, I don't know
why. And I don't care about the brother. I don't care about the sister. The sister at least plays a role in season 2. Because she gets so fed up with what goes on at Rand Enterprises, she goes to run her own company and then starts working with Davos, and it's a way for Davos to kind of slip in and basically go after the company that Danny's connected to, his family's company. I'm like, okay, that's at least interesting. At least you were setting something up with that.
Yeah.
But like the brother, they treat him like he's a main character, and I'm like, I couldn't care less about the brother. And the fact that they end season 2 without Danny having the Iron Fist and doing some sort of like world traveling adventure with his kind of brother,
I don't get that.
it's like, who
I did not get
cares?
the ending to that. Yeah.
What, that Colleen became the Iron Fist and Danny didn't get it back. You should be the one to take it, Colleen.
Yeah. I was just like,
Why did we come up with that?
Why? Who thought that was a good idea to write that? Not that Colleen is not a good character.
She's an amazing character. She's one of the best things about the show. Like, legitimately one of the best things, if not the best thing about Iron Fist is Colleen Wing. The actress playing her is amazing. The character herself is awesome. She's a complete badass. Like, fighting in this.
She's way better fighting than Iron Fist
Oh,
is,
her steel
which
cage
tells you
fights in
something.
season 1. Her steel cage fights, like her underground fighting ring when they're in like the construction site in the cage. And she's like beating the crap out of people. Like, it's so good. She's such a good fighter. She's disciplined. She's
So let's think about this realistically. All right, let's say I want to make an Iron Fist show. I'm gonna have the main character Danny Rand, who's been studying martial arts at this sacred, unknown location, Kunlun, for like 20 years. And now let's come to he knows this girl who runs her own martial arts school. She's an instructor there. Who do you think would be better at martial arts?
You would think Danny Rand, but considering Colleen, let's put it this way, Colleen Wing can go toe to toe with him, and I'm like, I get you're trying to do the empowerment of the female character, but it doesn't make sense if he's had this elite training from this spiritual temple that trains people in martial arts. She's the Iron Fist. She shouldn't be able to hang with him.
No,
not to that extent. It's like he should totally own it, and it's like just everything of it.
Like he had a little bit of amnesia, I believe, at the beginning of season 1. I get that. Maybe he might not have remembered all of his training and stuff like that. But when he got to a point where he remembers, there should be like no stopping him.
Yeah, it's like there should be no stopping him. And then at least season 2, that's the thing. Season 1 was awful because it was leading up to the whole thing with like the dad at the hand to brought back, and everything was just like leading to Defenders. Season 2 was at least better. Like, I enjoyed Davos coming in as an enemy. I enjoyed that we got him in season 1 to set him up, and then I enjoy in season 2, like, they didn't play it up properly, but you could have totally played up the fact of I was always meant to be the Iron Fist. I was always meant to be that, so I'm taking it. And him building his own army, training his own fighters and stuff like that. Davos was great.
Yeah.
He was a great villain. He got overshadowed by the fact that they still tried to play up like the sister as like a big factor, and I'm like, no, he's the villain. He's owning this show right now.
Yeah.
And what did Danny do? He went away and he whined. Yeah. I'm like, greatest martial artist in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Beat a dragon to get his power.
There he is.
And then, and what was her name? Hold on, I want to look this up and get it right.
Who are you looking for?
The other woman that comes into it, like it's got the split personalities and stuff. The Typhoid Mary. Yeah, Mary. Who's Typhoid Mary in the comic books, and we get the introduction to Typhoid Mary, who's like a woman that Danny Rand helps in the street, and who's actually got a split personality, like one's like good and one's evil, sort of thing. I'm like, okay, I'm interested that you've brought her in because she plays a big factor in like some of these street level characters. Like she plays a role against Daredevil and stuff as well. And okay, yeah, that's an interesting introduction. I kind of felt like she was shoehorned in a little bit.
See, I don't remember her. I mean, she looks familiar, but I don't remember her in the.
Yeah, like she was kind of shoehorned in. I felt like, and it just wasn't anything to it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's season 2. Like it had so much good for it, but we had the Iron Fist without. Hey Sora, how's it going, man? Sora is saying, that accent. You're speaking Scottish all day now. But yeah, it's like I felt like season 2 of Iron Fist was just it had so much great potential, especially like if they did the great stuff with Davos, and they didn't, and like we had Iron Fist without the Iron Fist for most of it, and probably LOL. Like Davos like done a great job as a villain, but like Danny Rand, like without the Iron Fist, he literally had nothing. We're talking through the Marvel Netflix shows. We're talking about Iron Fist right now. wrapping up with the rest. We've talked about the rest of them, but we're kind of wrapping up with Iron Fist now, the most hated of the Marvel Netflix shows.
Like, this is the reason why this superhero is a superhero, so we're gonna take it away. I get that. I get it. It makes sense. It's been done so many times.
But even in that, it making sense. It's like it's a done trope, but it works because the whole thing is meant to be, what is this person without his power? Yeah. Season 1 was so good. Season 2 was trash. Oh no, sorry. Season 1.
We've actually been arguing the opposite for the past 10 minutes.
Season 1 was so bad. Season 2 had at least some good stuff to it. Like the stuff with Davos was amazing, but like overall, like the whole show was trash. The whole thing is awful, and I think that's the thing is, if you take away the Iron Fist from him, Danny Rand, the way they wrote him, has nothing. That's all he talks about for season 1.
Super annoying.
Is that he's the Iron Fist, and you take away his Iron Fist, he doesn't have anything going for him. I'll fight you, man. I'll fight you with my Iron Fist.
He's just super annoying. Like, I don't know. Again, I think it's just the way that he's written. He's just
it's the writing, because I think the guy's a good actor.
Yeah.
He portrayed even his writing in the Defenders. Don't get me wrong, Defenders wasn't amazing.
He was better in the Defenders.
It was kind of a forgettable show, but his writing was at least better than that. And then his best writing was when he showed up in Luke Cage. Like, they wrote him the best. That's why I wanted the Heroes for Hire show, was because the writing the two of them together. Yeah. Iron Man as a show was bad.
I never saw Iron Man show.
Do you mean Iron Fist as a show?
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming you mean Iron Fist. If it's Iron Man as a show, I don't know anything about an Iron Man show that isn't like a 90s cartoon.
But I never really thought about it until you were talking about it. But I just think I agree with you. I think it would have been so awesome to have just some backstory fleshed out with Kun Lun.
Well, that was the thing. Kung Lung is like, even when we get into season 2, like season 2, the whole point of it is him versus Davos.
Yeah.
Someone who was born and raised in Kung Lung versus someone who crashed near there and was taken in by the monks. Both are trained from a young age, and we never see Kung Lung. We never even see the dragon that's meant to have given him the Iron Fist that he's meant to have defeated. We don't see any of it.
Yeah.
I said it at the end of season 1. I kept saying it to people, like, where the hell is my dragon? I want a dragon.
Yeah.
You promised me this freaking dragon.
I want a silhouette. I don't want a silhouette and some smoke.
I want to see
the legitimate by God dragon.
It's like, I want to see that. I want to see Kung Lung. I want to see him out and about in the city. I want to see how it looks. I want to see what the people are like.
Yeah.
We don't even see the people apart from the people that are judging his fight with Davos in season 2. And I wanted to see you play up that side of Davos. I wanted to see you play up the fact of, like, the low-key thing of, like, you raised me from a young age and told me I was going to be the Iron Fist. My parents basically disowned me when I did not get that Iron Fist. It's like, Danny Rand cost me everything. I'll play that up. I want to see that more. I wanted to see more of it because you had something great there that could have been amazing. But, alas, we did not get that. And then, at the very end, in like the last 2 episodes, they all of a sudden decide, you know what? Danny Rand doesn't get the Iron Fist back. We're going to give it to Colleen Wing. I kind of get what you were trying to do, but please give him the Iron Fist back because he has nothing else. Colleen's good on her own. She doesn't need it. She's better than him when he's got the Iron Fist. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I really don't know where they were planning to go. Like, seeing her with the Iron Fist doing the vigilante thing, like, okay, we're going to try something different. And then they had him and, like, his, like, kind of brother that he grew up with, like, traveling the world doing stuff, and I'm like,
but he still had the Iron Fist, right? Didn't it light up or something like that?
Something weird happened at the end. Like, he'd done something. I don't even remember. It's like, and I don't intend to go back and watch it and find out.
He caught a bullet or something with his fist. I don't know. It was something where, like, oh, he still has the Iron Fist.
He did something, but I'm like, what are you two hoping to accomplish traveling the world? I'm like, it's just.
It makes no sense.
I mean, it's literally bottom of the pile. You go from something like Daredevil to something like Iron Fist, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then, you know, we're almost out of time for today, but then again, briefly, Defenders, we've kind of mentioned throughout the show, obviously, because it all ties into the Defenders. They all showed up in it.
Straight up, I don't remember anything about Defenders other than the very end, and the shot of them in the hallway after the elevator. That's all I remember.
That's because that's all they were used in the trailers, was that freaking shot in the hallway of them fighting people. Defenders was built up as meant to be the TV version of Avengers. Mm-hmm. And these characters coming together, and it was meant to be completely awesome. And the show is just forgettable. Like, all of them fighting the Hand. Like, the Hand was a bad choice for the villains. That could literally have been a Daredevil or an Iron Fist villain on its own. would you guys ever do the anime Iron Man? I have never seen it, but I would definitely check it out and talk about it.
I don't know if I've actually seen it either.
Apparently,
I
there's a
would
few.
def-
There's a
I
few
love
like
anime.
there's a few
I love
anime
anime.
things. Like I know there's like an anime Iron Man. I think there's like an anime, obviously a Wolverine because he's got the whole Japanese connection. I think there's an anime like Doctor Strange as well. Like I'd be up for checking them out and talking about them definitely.
Yeah, not to go completely off topic, but I have there's a Batman Ninja. It's like a one-off type movie. It's like a different universe type thing, and it's kind of anime-ish style. It's awesome. It's awesome. But anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to digress.
No, I mean it's amazing. Like the artwork and stuff in that's amazing. It's really beautiful. Even for nothing else, the visuals in it are pretty beautiful. The way they play into the Japanese stuff, it's awesome.
Yeah, Defenders is 100% forgettable.
But yeah, Defenders is forgettable. The Hand was a really, really bad choice. I mean, I get they went all out and even tried to get Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
I know where it's
wasted
like
too, man.
is like the big thing in it, but like she wasn't really that big a threat. It's like they should have just kept it as Madame Gao. You literally built her up from Daredevil episode 1. She was in these shows. You should have literally just had her by the head.
Yeah.
And then they went into there, and then it was a whole thing of getting into where the dragon bones were, and then they brought the building down. And it looked like Daredevil was dead, but he wasn't really, and we all got to go back on with our lives, and it was a letdown. Like it was one of those things. Like it was built up so much, and I'm like, I don't even care enough to go back and watch it. I've never watched it again since the first time round.
I did enjoy the fight between Iron Fist and Luke Cage, though.
That was an interesting one. Like just for that shot of him like lighting up the Iron Fist and smacking Luke Cage with it, like the two of them, like. But even then, they could have done a lot more with it. Like even like the restaurant scene, which is a big one everyone talks about because they all gather together to talk. All it makes me think about is it. When they all meet in like the Chinese restaurant and stuff, when they all come back to Derry, that's all it makes me think about. But
that's hilarious.
But like, yeah, I'm not. It's forgettable. Like I'm literally going to go back. I think we kind of need to tie this up now because we're hitting the two. We're over the 2 hour mark now.
Real quick. What is your ranking? So if you had to rank them,
ranking is probably Daredevil first. And I'm torn, as I said earlier, I'm torn between that and Punisher. I did love both those shows. Daredevil first, Punisher a very close second. Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Defenders, Iron Fist.
Yeah, until the very end, I have Iron Fist before Defenders, just because I think Defenders was just like...
Defenders was forgettable, but the writing was better. I'm literally basing it on the fact of how Iron Fist was written.
Okay.
The way that in itself proves to me the writing was technically better for Defenders, and like I want to give it that like Iron Fist, like Defenders I'm like it's forgettable, but like Iron Fist is memorable but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad. At least that's my thinking on it anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I'm going to go back probably and go watch more Daredevil and more Punisher at least, and at least recap those because I've really got myself in the mood with the build up to this. And this has been fun looking back at the Marvel Netflix shows.
I've forgotten more than I remembered actually.
Yeah, like when I thought I'm going to be great talking about this stuff, and then I came into it and I'm like, yeah, I remember all that stuff, and I'm like, who was that character? What happened here? What was that thing? But you know what though? A lot of it is from shows that I'm not going to go back and watch. Like I don't remember certain stuff from Iron Fist. I'm not going to go back and watch it. I don't want to. Even Luke Cage, I'm like, it's all right.
I do want to see the part where Danny Rand comes in though. Luke Cage. Season 2.
Definitely go check it out. I can't remember what episode in season 2 it is, but definitely go check it out because like him written in Luke Cage is night and day compared to Iron Fist.
Yeah,
it's like a totally different character. But yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us for chatting about Netflix. This was a lot of fun. Oh, thank goodness it's popped up in chat because I meant to mention it at the start and I completely forgot. But to be fair, we had like a billion things to talk about at the start. We are also doing a giveaway for this month. It helps if I click in the chat when I'm trying to actually post something. So we are doing a giveaway. I'm going to pull it up on screen. We're going to disappear, but you should still be able to hear us. Nitro is doing an amazing picture, an amazing piece of different Batman busts. There's going to be about 30 overall. The picture we've got up at the moment is just about 20 or so it's not totally complete yet. And we're going to be picking winners for this out of those that are subbed to the channel because we felt like we wanted to give it away, but you know, this was an amazing piece of artwork that should cost a fair bit of money, and you know, to give something a wee bit back to Nitro and, you know, make it worthwhile for people. So if you want to win this, you need to get subbed up to our channel. If you sub at any point during June, let me pull this back up. If you sub at any point during June, you'll be subbed through to the end of it. The cutoff is June 30th. Whoever is subbed to the channel on June 30th, I will be taking note of those names, and we'll be doing a giveaway on, I think it's July, I want to say 5th. Yeah, July 5th is a podcast after that. We'll be doing a giveaway with those that were subbed up to June 30th. If you're subbed to the channel right now, and you subbed before the start of June, chances are your sub is going to run out and you're going to have to renew it, so keep an eye on that if you want to be in with a chance for winning this. If you have not subbed up yet and want to be in with a chance of winning this piece, it would cost about $35 to $40 usually. Giving it away for a free Amazon Prime sub or for a $4.99 sub, you know, that's not bad. Right now there's one person we know that is guaranteed to be subbed by then, and one of our usual regular ads was subbed last week's show, so he'll be subbed through June 30th. So 100% right now. I think the other person that's subbed, we've got 2 subs now, the other one's is going to run out. So right now ads is winning this. If you do not want ads to get this, if you want to get in with a chance of winning it yourself, this is your opportunity. Sub to the channel. You can do it during the podcast, you can do it if I pop in with another stream at some point, you can do it if we do something else, you can do it even when we're off stream, pop in with a sub. It will show up in my Streamlabs, and let me know that you subbed. Go ahead and do it if you want to be in with a chance of winning this. But yeah, definitely want a big one that we're excited about doing. This is going to be a beautiful piece when it's finished, and yeah, we're excited.
Well, real quick plug, I know we talked about him earlier in the podcast with Joshua Leonard. We have an interview with him on the 21st of June, so I'm super looking forward to that. Yeah,
100%. I'm going to throw that up in chat again. Go check out his website, Leonard Studios, with Team Supreme. He's an animator who created Team Supreme, a group of teenage heroes. Now into 3D print the Batman Beyond helmet. Hey, go for it, man. If you want to do it, go for it. I want to see that when it's finished.
Yeah. I'll get a copy.
Yeah, and Joshua Leonard was definitely check him out. It's an amazing artist doing some amazing stuff with Team Supreme, and we're excited to have him on the show to get a chance to talk about it. I think that's most stuff. Apart from that, if you guys are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, all of our stuff gets archived there. Go ahead and check us out there if you want to check out previous episodes. If you missed any of this episode, it'll be uploaded there in the next couple of days as well. And if you're not like the cost of it, I imagine no, it's probably going to be fairly expensive. And if you need to follow us, our links are down here below, where we actually streaming. You can see us there. Patreon, where you can support the channel from as low as $2 a month, if you want to, or you can sub to also financially provide and help put money towards the stuff that we're doing here. No need for you to do it if you're not able to. 100%, we're going to keep doing this and love doing it. But follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow the links there and like our stuff there. I usually post on there weekly. But definitely go and check us out there, guys. We've got a lot of followers on here, but we want to grow our YouTube and our social media as well, and vice versa. Get the people from there onto here, because we don't want you guys missing out on what's going on. But I think that's pretty much everything. Anything else you want to say, Nitro?
I think today was awesome.
Yeah,
fun.
Had a lot of fun today. We'll announce on our social media what we're going to be talking about next week. Oh, glad I mentioned that. For anyone for next week, and I'm going to announce this on social media as well, we are going to be starting at 1 o'clock, not 2 o'clock. Nitro and I have an amazing opportunity to do and to record a podcast with the Infinity Bros. We chatted with Isaac, had him on the show a few weeks ago talking about the MCU Phase 1. It was an absolute blast. Go and check that out on our YouTube page. But they've asked us to come on the show and chat with them. So we're going to be recording that next week, Sunday night. So to make sure we've got enough time in between, we're boosting up the podcast till 1 o'clock. And if you guys like the 1 o'clock thing, we'll look and see if it's something we can do permanently. But at least for next week, it's going to be 1 o'clock, and then the following week it'll return to 2. So I'm glad I remembered that.
Sweet.
Alright, but all of you lovely people, have an absolutely amazing day. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy yourselves, relax and rest. Try to pull up some music to go out on. That would be nice. Relax and rest, and we will see you all next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
Take care. Be blessed, guys.
Yep.